Hello and welcome, Illumineers, to Let's Talk Lorcana, your weekly Monday night live show where we talk about Disney Lorcana every single week, all of the news, tournaments, and happenings here. My name is Brandon, also known as B24. I am your regular co-host of the show, and I am joined by Liam from the Illumineers, the hosts of the show and this amazing YouTube channel, Twitch channel, wherever you're watching, you should go ahead and give us a like and subscribe and all of that if you already are. We're just going to get that out of the way early in the video or early in the live stream. Shout out to the live chat as well. What's up, Liam? How are you feeling? Oh, are you muted or can I not hear you? Liam, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm still muted.
Okay, there you go.
All right. Well, I forget what I said. I'm just excited to be here. It seems like the weeks go by so quickly, and I get done with a live stream, and it seems like we're here again, like right away. It's a busy week.
Yeah, busy week. There were a handful of tournaments that happened this weekend. I can't say that the results is especially exciting if you've been following what the meta looks like since the start of Arcasia's Island, but we'll get into that a little bit later, and we have some guests to talk about their experiences and tournament organizers and that sort of thing. But mainly a lot of tournaments this past week. Honestly, there's not a lot that I can think of news-wise, at least, that was happening in the community that either didn't happen before this past week or isn't crazy news. I know we were talking early on about the D23 thing, raffle, lottery, whatever it was called, I think happened this week. Some people managed to get some people didn't. I think you had to be a D23 member to be a part of that lottery. I didn't try it because I'm not a D23 member, and I already have my D23 set up there, so I don't need another. Did you guys try for one?
I did, yeah, and we were lucky enough to get one.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I couldn't pass up the opportunity, and I don't know. Yeah, the cards are all beautiful.
Yeah, they're great.
I had Tom Bancroft scribble on my Oswald, so I wanted another.
Yeah.
I have this problem. I like signed cards and like sketch cards, but I get them signed and sketch, and I love the sketch, and then I'm like, now I want a clean one.
Yeah, I'm the
So
same way. Like, I have a couple enchanted cards that I really like, and I've always kind of wrestled with the idea of if I ever got to meet the artist, would I want to let them sketch on it or sign it or whatever, keep it clean? Because I don't know, there's something obviously special about having a card signed or sketched on in any capacity. But there's also like my OCD is also like I just love the clean, crisp, raw card, just kind of how it is sometimes, especially if I'm playing with it. You might not always want to play with an extra special card that was like signed or something.
yeah, no, I agree with you. But yes, as a result, we threw our hat into the raffle, and we're lucky enough to get one. And I've seen a lot of success stories this week. A lot of people that I know saying that they were able to secure one. So yeah, so I hope if you all out there, threw your hat in the ring, if you're a D23 member, you tried for one, I hope you got one. It seems like a great opportunity. So yeah. And yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else other than all of the amazing tournaments we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah. Was there anything that you did for Lorcana this week? I know I have some stuff to share that I wanted to happen but didn't happen. Before I talk, I want to give you an opportunity.
Oh, like this past week?
Yeah, just for yourself.
No, not really. I mean, other than the weekend, I got to go to the SSG event, and really excited to talk about that in a bit. But we'll cover that in depth with the winner of the SSG event in a few minutes. But no, other than that, I can't even remember last week. A lot of my free time I spent prepping for the weekend because whenever I commentate, there's a lot of I really want to dig in and do a lot of studying ahead of time. Other than that, just the normal fun stuff that I do, like messaging artists. I've got some card sketches coming. Working on some content stuff, but nothing major. So, how about you?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't lucky enough to make the trip over to SSG. If you guys ever need somebody though for commentary or playing whatever, hit me up. But there was a local Winnabox tournament, which I was really excited for because we don't usually get stuff like that close to me. And it was I was excited to be able to compete in some capacity at that. Unfortunately, it didn't fire. We didn't get enough people that showed up for it, so that was a little bit disappointing. But I was able to still hang out and play with some friends. That's really all that happened for me, though. I did honestly very little prep for that tournament. I sleeved up a Ruby Sapphire list that I had found, and we're just gonna take that and see what happened with it. But yeah, that's pretty much it that I've been doing in the Lorcana since the past week, I think.
Yeah, it just feels a little slow right now as we prep for set
Mhm.
champs, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, set champ's coming, I think, at the beginning of next month, so we have, roughly a month's time before people are gonna be, playing in those, so I guess now is a decent time to start getting some practice in. I'm sure there will be plenty of Sapphire at the majority of
Oh
those set
gosh.
champs, or there might not be, honestly. It might be something worth talking about,
Yeah.
because the Sapphire deck's pretty expensive, so I guess you're gonna have to gauge, you know, whether or not you think your locals dropped the money on all those shiny crabs.
Yeah. Yeah, R&B weighing in right away. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
wow. Oh man, so I was trying to figure out how to phase this episode because we could get right into it, offer some hot takes right off the bat, and then you know, and then talk about the results and see if it validates what we're saying, or we could kind of slow roll it and
Yeah.
kind of hit the nail on the head later. I don't know. It suffices to say, as we get into the results later on tonight, you're going to kind of see a general theme of, I think we all know Sapphire dominance.
Mhm.
And that's not to say that there aren't other decks that can perform well. And I think, kind of my thesis throughout the evening, and we'll hit it again and again, is, if you're going into any of these big events, or especially if you're going into set champs where the meta might be a little bit softer or more open, there are decks that will get you set champ cards that are not Sapphire
Definitely.
decks.
Definitely.
You can navigate the meta and you can top cut with several other really good options.
Mhm.
The problem comes after the top cut. It seems to be that it's very, very difficult to navigate to the top two, to
Mhm.
navigate that top bracket through talented Sapphire players right now. And you'll see again and again this pattern, I think, emerge. So
Yeah, I agree. We'll look at some tournaments and top deck lists from this past week, and there's a couple that seem to continue to show up that aren't Sapphire. It's just like you said, they like 7 out of the 8 of top 8 are Sapphire, and there's 1 or 2 of these kind of rogue decks that make it in, or there's a handful of them that make it to top 16 but can't quite break their way through. But I think, just to reiterate what you said, every locals is going to be slightly different. Like ours is not that sweaty, and everybody doesn't drop a bunch of money on every set to get all of the cards. And so there's a lot of aggro players or purple steel players or amber steel players and things like that. And I think you have a decent shot at getting at least to the top 8 and earning yourself some of those top 8 set champs promos, especially if your league is a little bit more catered towards uh, social play, or there's just maybe not as many players that show up regularly and it's not as sweaty or anything like that, which is pretty good locally, at least I think.
yeah, no, I think that's right. And we'll talk about some of those other decks that we see performing well here in a little bit. As some people in the chat are pointing out, Steel Fossa and Bolt Song,
Yeah.
those are interesting. Those are fun little alternatives. But you also have Turnidogs, Amethyst
Dogs.
Steel is doing well. Actually, the Amethyst Emerald
Yeah, I
discard
was gonna
deck
say there's
converted.
a new discard deck that I've seen a couple places now.
I'm jazzed. I'm jazzed to talk about that one, honestly, for a variety of reasons. A wild
Hey,
one's really
Aaron.
good.
Hi. I put her down in record time.
Yeah, that was fast. A lot
Yeah,
faster
she
than the
fell
past
asleep
couple
right when the
weeks.
show was starting, and I was gonna drop in the chat she's asleep, but I felt like people would then be confused.
Yeah.
So.
So,
hi everybody.
yeah, and shout out to everybody in the chat watching us. I see
Yeah.
Tannen out there,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
a
shout
bunch
out
of
to
other
Tannen.
folks.
We miss you, buddy.
Yeah,
Oh, hi
He's
Tannen.
challenging me to come to Baton Rouge. We'll see. We'll see.
it's close.
I'm not
It's close.
scared. It's
Oh
it's
wait,
the
I'm
getting down
in Baton
there.
Rouge in 3 weeks.
Will you really?
Yeah, I'm going to see my dad. So Tannen, I will let you know. Maybe we grab dinner or something.
Yeah, Brandon's not too far away either.
I know we're going in the. I mean, like, I'm also going to Mississippi, and that's away from Brandon. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay.
A little bit.
Also, shout out to
depends on how you're getting there.
Zach Bivens calling you out here a little bit. So
I know.
Zach, what are you
I hate
playing?
for anybody to be called out by. Zach Bivens is not the person that I want to be on his bad side. So
yeah, right.
Look, it switches every set. All right, it wasn't Ruby Sapphire last set. I just play what's the best, and that's my case. I'm sticking to it.
Okay, so before I jumped on, Brandon, did you play an event this weekend?
I was prepared to. The event did not fire. It was going to be a win-a-box tournament. We were going to play for Shimmering Skies, which was just fun. Like I was telling Liam earlier, we don't get those very much. We try to do it like pretty regularly. I think a month or two ago, they tried to do like a Win an Enchanted tournament, and we just like barely don't have enough people that want to go out and actually like pay money to, potentially win something. So I think what they're going to try to do, if anybody else has locals that has success with this, where there's just like not a ton of competitive players, let me know what you guys do. But I think instead of just doing a win a box next time and just kind of like the first place player takes it all, that we're going to do like a break a box. And it's essentially just going to be like, we have a box that's going to be split across, the top 4 or top 8, depending on how many people show up, with varying packs based on how well you did. Hopefully that'll incentivize more people to come out and play, because I think a lot of people just didn't come out and play because they were like, why would I pay $15 to come if I don't expect to win,
Yeah. That makes sense. I do have to take a moment to shout out we can't see when you all raid in this setup with when we go from the Restream platform, but shout out to JDZ for the raid. I see in the chat
thanks everybody
that a bunch of folks jumped in, and I see a certain commentator in the green room right now. So yeah, welcome if you're joining from JDZ stream. I feel like that's I've watched some Twitch streams, and I know that's the thing to do is shout out I
meant to have it open. I was gonna say, sorry, what were you saying?
I was gonna say I need a sound effect or a video that we play when we get rated.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, I need to do something with that. Anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is bad to be doing live on air, but we need to talk about this because there's some Twitch stuff that I want to do later, or at least be in control of, so that it's easier for us to like see this and do it, because I feel like we've said that for the past like 4 or 5 weeks and we haven't done anything.
That's very true. We need to Let's Talk Lorcana needs to up our Twitch game.
I'm here to help you guys, so
yay.
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah, so lots of decks out there that can do well. We'll talk about those as we review the numbers. Yeah, so with that, I mean, should we kind of transition to talking about one of these events?
Yeah, why not?
And that'll be a good way to springboard the meta discussion. For those who looked at the episode title and kind of the description, we're gonna with the lack of news this week, one of the things we're going to be just doing heavily this week is just diving into the meta, talking about what you can start building and practicing going into set champs. And we're going to do that through a bunch of awesome events that happened, 3 in particular that we're going to focus on. And the first one is the SSG tournament that happened in South Florida. Really fun event for those who've been following Lorcana the competitive scene recently. SSG over the past like 6 months, I think it's not very long, I think, started doing a series of very like big prize pool events. And it feels like they've just gotten bigger and bigger with the turnout. And there's always a pretty good turnout of very skilled players. And so it's been on my bucket list for a while to go down to SSG and kind of see it in action. And I got to go this weekend. And it was like a treat.
The first one was like right around Continentals, if I remember correctly, like either like right before or right afterwards. So they're doing amazing stuff in this amount of time.
Yeah. And they're knocking down walls and like expanding the store. So it's like, it's crazy. B squared to SSG1. I don't know.
Hopefully soon.
Right?
We'll see if we can make it happen.
Right. But no, it was a fantastic event. I've got a few pictures and some stuff to talk about. Yeah, this weekend was a 15K charity event. Peter Raimondo was there, and it was just raffles and all sorts of stuff. It was just a lot of fun.
Do we know nonprofit ended up getting the funds? Because wasn't it
I
up to the
don't.
winner?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we can figure that out later tonight.
Yeah,
I
and
guess.
I if I was better, I would have gotten the answer. But it's like the winner got to pick, and then the store got to pick, and so it was like split a few different ways.
Oh yeah, and I remember Peter got to pick one too.
I think so.
Oh, interesting.
Is it me or the
You know
only
what?
curious?
Hold
Oh,
on.
look, let me turn my volume. I'll fix that.
Okay,
But
well,
yeah, so but
I'm gonna text Dorothy.
Okay. Yeah, please
to
do.
see what Peter picked.
But to talk about this, we are really excited to be joined by the winner of the SSG tournament this weekend. I'm going to welcome in Mitch. Hey, Mitch.
What's up? Hey, Mitch.
How's it going? How's it going, everybody?
Hi.
It's going. It's Monday night. We're here. This is what we do, and you're here after a fantastic performance this weekend. How you feeling?
I mean, I'm feeling pretty good. I don't feel good that I had to play blue-red to do it, but you know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
There's certain people in the chat. I won't say who are judging Ruby Sapphire players.
Is it R&B? I'm assuming it's R&B.
I think he's one of them. And then where's Zach Bivens? Yeah, I'll find this somewhere. It's too far up. But no, I mean, it was well executed. You actually, and we'll talk about when we get to the bracket, but you had to go through a skilled pool of players, and then in the finals take on one of the best Ruby Sapphire players. Yeah, and Jonathan Williams. So yeah, pretty great performance.
Before we get in the meta, can I ask Mitch what organization you donated or wanted to donate the funds to?
Yeah, I'm going to donate it to the Extra Life Foundation. They're an organization that tries to provide like games, video games and stuff like that for hospitalized and terminal children so that they're not just sitting there with like nothing to do. Helps them kind of like have a good time if they're like terminal or if they're recovering. It's just, they don't take anything off the top. It's a very, very good foundation. So
that's amazing.
That's
How
great.
did you hear about them?
So I run like a World of Warcraft Discord, and we did a charity event for them before. And I was researching a lot of different charities when I decided which one I wanted to do. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
They're really cool.
That's really cool. I had this ambition at one point because I know people do like streams and like gaming events and stuff to try to like raise money for Extra Life. I had this ambition at one point, Brandon, to do like a 24-hour like stream to like
that would
raise
be
money
so
for Extra
fun.
Life.
If you ever do it, invite me out. I'll drive down to Austin to help out with the 24-hour live stream.
Maybe Mitch we'll have to partner up and do a thing.
Absolutely. I have a contact, so let me know.
Perfect. It'll be so much fun. So Ruby Sapphire. Why pick? I mean, I guess we know why, but let's hear it from you. Like why? Well, actually, first, are you a historical Ruby Sapphire player, or did you move into it for this particular tournament?
So I started off playing Ruby Sapphire in set 3. I played a little bit in set 2, and then I played in set 3. I think I won a couple or did well and got a couple stitches with it in set 3. Played it a little bit more in set 4. I think I brought it to DLC Vegas, not Vegas, DLC Atlanta, and got my I got my bell rung by Green Purple a little bit. And then yeah, and then I kind of like transitioned into playing a lot of Green Yellow for a long time and just made everybody that I knew and everybody around me very upset. And then I transitioned into Green Blue, and that's where I was for a long time. And that's what a lot of people that play with me know me as. They know me as like the Green Blue guy that won't give it up and keeps playing a bad deck. And, you know, but I always notoriously have been a control player just across multiple card games. If there's a control deck, I'm probably going to want to play it. So that's at least my history and my background with it.
It's Green Blue. Brandon, you were on that for a bit.
Yeah, I was on it a little bit early in the set. We actually, I think, Mitch, we talked about it briefly in one of the Discords that we're in.
Yeah.
It didn't work out too much for me, so I probably should have listened to Mitch a little bit more. But
the problem with Green Blue is that it just doesn't have the consistency level that these other Titan decks do right now. It just like Purple Steel, Red Blue, and Blue Steel, they're just so massively consistent. And Green Blue, when it's not drawing exactly what it needs to draw, it looks like it doesn't do anything, and you're just going to fall apart.
Yeah, that sounds kind of like your experience, Brandon.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it does its thing, it does it really well. When it doesn't do its thing, it just falls apart. So
Yep.
Yeah. One
That sounds
day.
about right.
Yeah. One day. I miss green blue. I miss like the turquoise high five from like back in the day. And
Yeah.
but yeah, anyway. So over to red blue for this tournament. You weren't alone. Here's the meta breakdown for those interested. And I think it's what we expect. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Any surprises here for you two before I kind of ramble for a second?
No, I haven't seen this yet, but this is exactly what I would have expected. This is what I did expect and why I built my deck the way that I did. So this checks out for me.
yeah, I think 50% of over 50% of the color breakdown being Sapphire, like just in general, is pretty bonkers, insane. But yeah, not unexpected. I'd say. I'm interested to hear, Mitch, like how you built your deck and like what you brought with that anticipation.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, whenever you guys are ready, I can go over it.
Yeah. I'm pulling it up here on the other screen because I'm super prepared.
As we are, like, it's so funny. Every single show we always pull up our like second monitor, this one right here, and Liam never has it preloaded. Like
No.
never. But there has
No,
never been a show that we don't pull up this monitor.
I'm a professional, I swear. But here you go. Here it is. This is the list.
Sorry, just marital baggage.
It doesn't have my my deck name on the list, does it? I guess.
Ooh,
No, it doesn't.
No.
Wait,
No,
what is
yeah.
your deck name?
It was just ugh. Like I was just like, it was just I was so upset that I was registering it, and I just like I don't even whatever. That's fine.
Have to do what you have to do.
So much.
Yeah, it was great.
All right.
Although if I had named it after I realized that I was like other people were gonna be seeing it, I probably would have put like Errata Hiram as like the deck name.
Okay.
But that's a
we can
different
talk about later.
That's a different discussion. Yeah. So I mean this list. I told people at the event because people were asking me about it. I woke up at like 9 o'clock in the morning and I pulled all of my blue-red cards out. I threw them on the table. I had like 75 cards just sitting there. And I was just kind of like looked at some of the cards. I was like, I want this card in the deck. I want this card in the deck.
This was
and
the morning of the event?
Morning of the event, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I built the deck about 30 minutes before the event started. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And when I say built, I just mean like I decided the numbers. Obviously, the deck has been around forever, but there were a couple things that I really wanted to make sure they had in the deck. The first thing was absolutely I wanted Big Tamatoa in the deck, minimum 2. I would have loved to play a third one, but I knew that I wanted that card in the deck. I felt like it just helps you so much in the blue steel matchup. And it helps you a lot to have like a huge threat in the mirror. And having access to Tamatoa 8 plus Lucky Dime just gives you this like ability to start to close out the game a lot faster and kind of hit them out of nowhere. So those were 2 cards that I knew that I wanted in the deck. Maleficent Dragon was another one that I really wanted in the deck. I don't really like the idea of playing Let It Go. And I wanted some answer to Maui Shark. So I was like, well, this is probably the next best thing. It's another threat. It's an amazing +1 in the mirror. It's just a great card. So that was another card that I absolutely made sure that I wanted to have at least 2 copies of. And then the only other card that really like I forced into the deck that I think is probably going to look weird to a lot of people is the copy of Maui Shark, because notoriously if you're playing Big Crab, you're not playing the Shark package. And if you're playing the Shark package, where's the Pirate's Life? But I just this was a contentious choice. A lot of people were confused by it and didn't really expect it. But I wanted a card that like stalled the board out. You know, I wanted to just my thought on Maui Shark, and I've been playing it since the card came out. I bought it like the second it dropped to like $30. I just bought my 4 and I've been playing him a lot. But what I've noticed in this, at least in this meta, is he doesn't trigger that much. Like the middle line of text, getting an action back, that doesn't happen. Like no one's ever giving you that. But what happens more often than not is you play the card, and if your opponent can't remove it, nothing's turning sideways anymore, and you have just frozen the board. And that's pretty much all I wanted out of this card. Is like, if I just play it, A, it's going to absolutely bait a removal spell because they can't do anything unless they get rid of it. And B, it's going to buy me a couple turns to transition into my 8 drops, my 9 drops, my double spell turns. So I just have 2 copies of that in there as an extra way to like close out the game too with some of the action lore, you know, that kind of stuff. But the amount of times I think I triggered that middle line of text and got an action back over the course of the 11 matches I played was maybe once or twice. So it's not really what the card is about.
It reminds me a lot of like set 1 Aladdin. Like when you threw the Aladdin out on board, it just kind of stalled your opponent from wanting to turn their stuff sideways. It just helps you, you know, keep the game going long enough for you to get back control. Another card I wanted to ask you about was the Cusco. Obviously, we've seen Cusco in and out since he came out, but I've seen a lot of people play Hideaway over Cusco, I think is that. I'm just interested to hear your thoughts on why the Cusco over the Hideaway.
I mean, it's really simple. I think the Cusco versus Hideaway like argument or discussion is just like, if you're playing Sharks like 4 of, you probably want Hideaway. It triggers the Sharks. It is a cheap spell. If you're not, and you're just, you know, playing more of like that grindy crab blue-red style, then the Cusco being a threat is just a little bit better. And I think if you're expecting more blue-red than anything else, Cusco's just got a slight edge because he's just an extra threat that they have to answer. And I will say the by invite only, I think is what's called, the flavor text, as a lot of people call it, on Cusco was extremely relevant in like multiple matches. There was a couple turns where I would like play a Maui 5 and then activate and kill a Sisu, and my Maui stuck around. And that came up like it came up more often than I was expecting it to, I guess is what I'll say.
That's interesting because I seldom see him run for that reason, and I've seen that ability used a few times, but normally, as you're right, like it's primarily used for item removal and location removal, and that bonus that it came into play so much is interesting. I guess I'm not surprised. You know, I was surprised at first when I don't see the Pirate Life running this deck paired with the Maui Shark, but then it makes a lot of sense when you're expecting a control heavy meta. I think that card is really good against like aggro and mid-range decks that are trying to run into you to like stall them out, but into the mirror or into like into items, it's not as good.
I expected a lot of blue red. I expected a lot of big blue steel, and in the blue red matchup, I think correctly guessed that like every single card is so valuable that having kind of a do nothing card in your deck just puts you a little bit behind, and you already have all of these do nothing cards in your deck after like turn 4 that I just didn't want a card that didn't do anything. I wanted all of my cards to impact in some way or ramp me, like or draw me cards. Like I didn't want this just nothing. So that's why I didn't play it.
Yeah, interesting. Maleficent Dragon's the other fun one that I want to mention, only because I saw this card used to great effect all throughout the day. I think my favorite was it was actually a Jonathan Williams match in the semifinals where both players are storing their hands, they're in the end game, and like Maui Shark came down and like his opponent like Maleficent his Maui Shark, and then Jonathan Williams Maleficent the Maleficent, and then it was a Maleficent on the Maleficent, and it was just like dragon after dragon after dragon after dragon, but a lot of people ran it, and it seemed very, very important in the mirror.
Yeah, I mean, it's an extremely strong card. It's also, being a 7/5, it really pressures your opponent to have like a multiple ink coil turn to even remotely get anywhere near it. So it's just a very, very potent threat, and it allows you to like take care of their board and put a little bit of pressure on the board without overextending, which I think is extremely important. Notably, I was not playing with the D20.
I was going to
say they're not the ones that I played with.
I was like, that's a flex right there.
No, I just probably clicked the wrong one. That's my bad.
Yeah. I wonder sometimes if these lists, when people put the enchantments on there, are like aspirational, or if they're like, no. I'm running the enchantments.
Running the enchantments.
Yeah. I was not running the enchanted, so
I'm running the D23 Maleficents. No big deal.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was going to tell a story about the D23. I remember we talked to someone. Someone told us a story about the original D23. This woman came over to the Ravensburger booth and she had mentioned like her son was excited about the game or something. This is like the D23 of 2022. And they gave her like a Mickey promo or the Mickey promo. And one of the Ravensburger staff members literally watched this woman fold the card in half.
Oh my
and put
God.
it in her wallet. And they were all thinking to themselves, like, "Oh, your son's gonna kill you."
Oh, that hurt me a little bit. I wish I wouldn't have heard that story. That sounds.
I think
inside.
I think at that point I would play with it because it's just like bent, you know.
Yeah, visceral reactions.
I did love seeing all three of you guys when I just told that story, like react to it. Yeah, I feel like I heard that.
There's
story
something wrong.
Point.
Even like junk cards. Like there's something. I don't know why it's like sacrilegious to me to like bend them or destroy them or treat them. I don't know. Yeah. I'll throw a card away like in perfect condition before I like futz with it.
I don't want to bend them and throw them away. That's just like mean.
Right? Yeah. That's like salt in the wound, you know?
Could you imagine taking that BLT Mickey and just
I can't and I won't. I can't and I won't.
It gives me nightmares.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway. And then the look on the guy's face when his mother like gave him the card. Like, I went to the booth and got you this card. I'm waiting for the person, someone in the chat to be like, that was me.
That was me.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's my card.
Yeah.
It's famous now. Katie from Lore Keepers in asked, how do you remain mentally focused during a 12-hour day of Sapphire Mirrors?
I mean, I played a lot of Sapphire Mirrors. Actually, it was crazy. I think I played 4 in Swiss, or I guess if you talking all Sapphire decks, I played 5 Sapphire in Swiss, and then 3 in the 4, all 4 of them in the finals. So wow, yeah. So I played a lot of Sapphire. I mean, I'm kind of insane, and like I just kind of lock in. I don't really have a good like tip or anything like that. I played a lot of Magic the Gathering before Lorcana, and my favorite thing to play Magic the Gathering was like blue-red or blue-white control. Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of the same thing. You just kind of go through the motions, do the same thing, and just focus on like, I don't know. My brain just organizes everything into like, I only need to focus on this world of the game and everything else is completely irrelevant. So I just kind of very super focus on what I'm doing. And I mean, I was extremely exhausted at the end of it. So I think I got up and immediately asked, like, does anybody have like Tylenol or something? I'm dying right now. So I don't know. I just kind of rode off adrenaline, I guess is the answer.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine how much of a grind that was. I talked to Liam that morning and he's like, oh, they're doing 8 rounds. But what he neglected to tell me was like, they were doing 8 rounds and then going into Top Cut.
Yeah.
That is just incredible. So yeah.
And the mirrors. So interesting to me. I like full disclosure. And I know the stream team is watching right now, but full disclosure, we made an effort to avoid Sapphire Mirrors throughout the Swiss round
whole day.
Yeah,
because we knew they were coming. So we tried very hard to capture decks that were still in the running, but that were not Sapphire decks for the most part, and we were fairly successful. It's pretty good, but we did have to watch some of those in the Top Cut, and then I stood out when we weren't broadcasting, and I was privileged enough. And the match is so like, by the time you get to the end game, it's so back and forth. Every turn, you're making 1 or 2 big decisions, and one wrong decision loses you the match because your opponent's looking for that edge, and it's just tit for tat, removal after removal, building up your inkwell, and then all of a sudden, one player, who was I talking to? It might have been you, Mitch, where we're talking about the matchup, and it's like, play a threat, it dies, 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 play a threat. Oh, it's stuck. Oh, wait a second. Okay, here we go.
Okay, yeah. And now the game actually starts.
Right. And that's literally like the matchup is keep killing my opponent's stuff. I don't know. What do you think about the mirror in that regard?
It's kind of insane because if you had asked me before Saturday, I would have told you, I mean, the mirror, it is what it is. Maybe I don't have a ton of insight on it, but Mikey from Freedom Gaming had correctly pointed out that across the entire day, I didn't drop a single game in the mirror. I gave no games to a blue-red player. And I mean, obviously I played against some very, very strong opponents. And he was just saying, like, you have this figured out. Like, you're playing like crazy. You have this figured out. You're playing on a level that these people aren't playing on. And I don't know that I'm doing anything super insane, but there are a couple things that I think, and I talked about this yesterday with a couple people in one of our Discords. The blue-red mirror, I think, it's tricky to navigate. There's definitely like a back and forth, and there's a lot of like must-haves. You need to make sure that you're answering their Flaversham. You need to make sure that you are keeping up with ink. But I think that something that a lot of blue-red players that I played against yesterday were doing that I was not doing was I refused to ink a potent card in that matchup, even if it meant that I was skipping an ink. I did it all day. All day, I was just like, my hand is Maleficent Dragon, Tamatoa 8, Maui Shark, like Brawl, and Tamatoa 6. I'm not inking these. Like, maybe I would ink a Brawl. Brawl is probably a bad example, but like if it was like Crab, Dragon, I'm not inking. I'm just not going to ink. I'll just pass the turn. And because what I kind of started to notice as the day went on is you have all these, as I was mentioning before, these dirtily cards that after turn 4, like Sail, you don't really want to be casting it if you can do something else after turn 4. Tipo, you're inking every single time it enters your hand. Even Brawls, that's why I kind of mentioned it. Even Brawls, like at a certain point, start to get a little like whatever, because you have like big Sisu, you have little Sisu, you have all these uninkable options that like Brawl, you can start to kind of ink if you have too many of them. You just have all these like dead cards that don't really do anything. Like the 3rd and 4th copy of Coil start to like matter a lot less, so you can start inking those. And you have access to Great Stone Dragon. It's like, and like to a lesser extent, How Far I'll Go. So it's like you have all these ways to catch back up in ink, and the game is going to go to turn 400. So it's less important to turbo ink in those matchups, and it's more important to just keep up with your ink, and more so keep up with your threats and answers. And so if my hand is full of answers or threats and there's none of my dead cards in the matchup, I'm not inking them. I'm just going to hang on to them and just continue to be able to apply pressure and answer pressure. And I noticed that I watched a lot of other players ink big Tamatoas on turn 7, ink Maleficents on turn 6, ink Sharks, ink, cards that you shouldn't, in my opinion, you shouldn't be inking in the matchup. And that was one thing that I saw that was different from my opponent's play. And then the other big thing is, I don't know if it was maybe just my last opponent, Jonathan Williams, but I know a lot of people, I'm sure they probably noticed it, but I noticed it in the match. Jonathan Williams like inked 2 Sapphire Coils like by turn 4. And I think at one point when I was playing against him, he even said like, oh, this card's not going to be that relevant in the matchup, or he said something like that. And I kind of like, I got a little confused. It kind of threw me. I'm like, this is like one of the better cards in the matchup. This is like super, super important to have at least one in the matchup. So it was one of those things where when he inked the second one, I remember thinking in my head, if I can find a Tamatoa 8, that's how I'm going to win this game. He's not going to be able to kill it. And that is exactly how I ended up winning the game. I played a Tamatoa 8. He couldn't answer it because he didn't have a coil. And that was how I ended up winning that game. So I think valuing Sapphire Coil in the mirror is another way to give yourself an edge. Like you need a minimum of 1. And the second one is extremely valuable as well. So that was my approach to the mirror, at least.
That's interesting because I did see several mirrors where one of the players had like 3 coils in play, and Maleficent Dragons were like getting taken down, and it was pretty funny. That's a good insight though, because I have a feeling for anybody going to play in set championships, if you're going to run this deck, you're going to run into the mirror. So and your advice here, I mean, clearly it paid off for you because you rose above quite a few others. and ended up taking it down. So before you go, while you're here, I do want to take the opportunity to look at a couple other decks in the meta, just because fun.
No, yeah, absolutely.
So this was the tournament breakdown. This is the meta, and then we can see the conversion here. One thing I'll note, in the other category, you do have a few of these decks that we see actually convert in the top cut very well. One of them is the Amethyst Emerald discard package, which I'm actually going to pull that one up in a moment just because it's fun. And then you had the Amethyst Steel, which has done very well recently, actually won Hunter Burton. Shout out to Stephen Mejia there, who took down an item deck in the finals. But that's been doing fairly well, and it converted decently okay. And then this hyper aggro deck, and I'm blanking on the player's name, but he is a historical hyper aggro player and converted in the top 16. So that was a lot of fun there. Sadly, Chernadogs was fairly well represented at 11%. And nobody made it.
I mean, that's just because the blue-red matchup it can be very abysmal for them.
Yeah, it's probably it. Alex Hansen, thanks SSG. Yeah, very good player with that hyper aggro deck. Normally it's a deck that some people carry in as like for newer players, because you're like, hey, just put cards in play, turn them sideways. There you go. But Alex is a pro at these decks and piloted like a champ.
Yeah, I lost 3 total games on Saturday, and he was 2 of the 3. He absolutely demolished me in round like 4 or something.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So if this is your thing, if hyper aggro is your thing in these colors, go take a look at Alex's deck and hit him up. You can see it in the tournament results. Here's what the final bracket looked like. You can see what you had to navigate here, and we can see that all of the fun decks got knocked out very early. So the top 8 was a lot of Sapphire. We did have one Emerald Amethyst move on, Carson, and that is because Carson's a very good player, but it was also the mirror. So
yeah.
And before I look at that, I have to shout out Carson, because Carson was amazing and had some really fun custom cards that he let me take pictures of, and this is his first TCG. So started playing Rise of the Floodborn, and first TCG, he's in it, and here he is in the top 8 against a very talented field. So shout out to Carson. Great job.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right. I want to pull up this last thing we're gonna do. I'm gonna pull up this bounce deck here. And
gee whiz, Liam, why would you want to look at an Amethyst Emerald deck?
It's the best. And we can talk about this briefly. So a lot of the decks, the reason I want to talk about this, and I'll get both of your take on it, and anybody else. Oh, this is from Gubu. That's not the one I wanted. Go back. But a lot of these other decks, like Chernadogs, all of that, have been around for a bit. Amethyst Steel, they're fun. People can look at them. But then this deck popped up, I think, fairly recently. And I know Lorcana Decklist and Articast have been working on it, and some others. But this version of this deck wasn't around or super popular, I think, until like a week or 2 ago. And I think it's really fun. And I don't know that it wins in top cuts, but I think it top cuts fairly well, and it converted at like 50% this weekend. So I have my thoughts on this deck, but what do y'all think?
I mean, I think it's a sweet deck. Diablo is a powerful card. Obviously, like if unchecked, it just wins the game by itself. So that's, it's always going to be the case. I played against this round 7. There's a couple of things I'm a little unsure of. I don't understand why Has Set My Heart is in the deck, because your whole deck dies to Baby Sisu without coil happening. So I'm not sure what this card is really helping you with, but it's an interesting tech choice. But I mean, the deck is really cool. The deck is if you don't know how to play against discard, if you weren't born in the Bucky meta, and you figured out how to play this matchup, it's gonna punish a lot of people. But I mean, blue-red, what they can do against this is just ink their hand, get everything out of their hands, so Prince John doesn't do anything, and then just top deck better than them. And if they ever resolve a big Sisu, the game generally just ends on the spot. which is a big downside. The fact that your whole deck is just super vulnerable to big Sisu is a bit of a struggle. But outside of that, I mean, it looks really good and looks really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Brennan, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to what powerful decks should be considered right now, you just kind of have to ask the question, like, what's the most broken thing you can do, right? And obviously, Sapphire Ruby can do some very broken stuff. Any Sapphire deck can do some broken stuff. But anybody that's been around for a little while understands how broken Prince John and Diablo can also be together. And so, if you're not going to play a Sapphire, I think this is a pretty great thing to run. Discard is good. Ward is great on Prince John. Both Diablo and Prince John are great draw engines for the cards. And like Mitch was saying, the thing that discard can do really well is like remove all your resources. And so if you're playing against somebody that isn't expecting that, you can very easily get to a point where you just kind of take your opponent out of the game before they even get started.
Yeah. Yeah, my thoughts on that. I think it's obviously I'm predisposed to want this deck to succeed, so I'm naturally going to want to talk about it. But what I find fascinating about this deck is it takes the Amethyst core that we saw like all last set, and we've seen for a bunch of sets. It's the same cards that are run in like every Amethyst clone, including Emerald Amethyst. But then it smashes it together with the green steel, green package, and so it's not Amethyst. It's not an evolution of Amethyst Emerald in the way that we've seen before, except maybe with the inclusion of like Cricky. But it's kind of a combination of those two decks, so it's a lot of fun. The reason I think it was so successful this weekend, so one, like Green Steel has done very well in our earlier tournaments. Like at Hunter Burton, it converted very well. Didn't win, but it converted very well. But it kind of disappeared. I don't think we had barely any, like if any, at SSG. And this kind of replaced it. But really when I watched this deck play, what made it really good was Diablo. And the biggest reason, Diablo and Genie. And the biggest reason was those cards were kept in check quite a bit by Ruby. And Ruby, it's run a lot in Ruby Sapphire, but with Ruby Amethyst disappearing and with people not prepared for Diablo was kind of left unchecked a little bit. And it was able to stick around, oddly enough, more often than I thought, and win people games. It is, of course, susceptible to the bell right off the bat with Blue Steel, but a surprising number of times people played around it and got it to stick. So I don't know. I think with with Ruby Amethyst like gone, this deck got a little bit of wiggle room, and it converted very well. It's also very good into, I think it's good into the Blue Steel like mid-range aggressive package. I saw Cricky do some serious work in multiple games to win games. And I think I saw a bigger percentage of the Blue Steel decks were that mid-range Kiwi Birds kind of ish package and not the item heavy package. And this deck I think does really well into that matchup. So I don't know. I like to talk about it because it's new-ish. It's a hybrid of two decks that we've seen before, and which is a lot of fun. And I think it can do well in set champs. But I do agree that if people are running Sisu, which they are now, in the Ruby Sapphire decks, which are very big, I don't think it wins very many tournaments. I think it can top cut fairly well. I don't think it wins. I don't know.
I agree with that. I mean, it's a fun deck though. It looks like a blast to play.
I think so. And it has a lot of birds.
Who doesn't love playing Diablo? Like triggering Diablo when you're the one triggering it feels great. It's just awesome.
Yeah. A lot of birds. Anyway, I think it's a lot of fun. Well, Mitch, I know you have a competing event to get to, and I thank you so much for stopping by. Any closing thoughts on this weekend?
Yeah, Errata Hiram. I understand everybody is mad at Popsicle, but Popsicle is not. I mean, Popsicle is a good card and potentially also is a problem, but you need to start with Hiram. Hiram is the enabler for every broken thing that Blue Red does. It if you touch Popsicle and don't touch Hiram, the problem is not going to be solved. Hiram does way too much, way too efficiently, and has no answers to it. You've given the ramping color the best card draw engine in the game and the only answer to that card, or the only efficient answer, I should say. And so it's just, Hiram is absolutely the more problematic card at first. It could potentially be both, but don't let anybody fool you. It's definitely Hiram.
Interesting. I kind of forgot the thesis of our whole episode here.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure that we talked about it.
Yeah. Before we let you go, like, what makes Hiram so, and you kind of talked about the answers for it or in the deck, but what makes Hiram so game breaking?
It's very aggressively costed, right? It being 4 ink is crazy. The fact that it's inkable is crazy. The fact that it doesn't die to anything other than Brawl or Sisu or Big Sisu or like Medusa, which are all red cards. Is problematic. The fact that it draws so many cards, so many more cards than the card draw color, which is supposed to be Amethyst. It's just, it does too much, too well, too fast, and too efficiently. And there isn't a valve in the format right now to check it. So if you leave Hiram the way that it is, yeah, you can ban Popsicle or errata Popsicle or whatever. But the second they print another item that is broken, Hiram's going to continue to do the same thing it did. And so it's just going to be one of those things where the thing I was telling everybody all day was my opinion is there's 3 things you can do and you need to pick 2 of the 3. He needs to be at least a 1/5 or lower. He needs to only do the drawing when he enters or when he quests, or he needs to only draw 1 card. But you have to pick 2 of those 3 things. I don't even care which one you pick, but you need to pick 2 of the 3.
Would you prefer an errata or a ban?
I would prefer an errata. I think that we've set the precedence for an errata at this point. And if you ban Hiram, but you didn't ban Bucky, it would seem crazy because I still think Bucky is more powerful than Hiram. But I am not a huge fan of banning cards. I would rather be able to play with the cards, and I don't want it to be completely gutted from the format. It just needs to be more manageable. But if they can't figure out a way to do it, and they haven't listened to me say that thing I just said 400 times, I'd rather them ban it than not do anything. So it would be unfortunate, but I don't think you can leave the format in the health that it is. It is arguably, it's not as bad as the Bucky meta, but it's very close. And the fact that we have to even speak of the 2 in the same conversation should speak, volumes to how bad the format is right now.
Yeah.
I feel like you're sitting here saying, please don't make me play Ruby Sapphire anymore.
I don't want to. I don't want to. Set champs are coming up, and I'm like, I really want to play blue green, but if you don't do anything, I'm gonna play blue red. So
yeah, it's hard to play anything else.
Look what you made me
Every
do.
single card is so much more powerful than every other card in the format. So
yeah,
it's just nothing else you can do.
I'm cracking up at Jordan's comment. I think picking 3 of Mitch's suggestions is helpful. Yeah.
He corrected it to 2, not 3. That was a typo.
Okay. 3, even better. But yeah, 2. 2, 3. Yeah, no, I agree with you. In terms of the solutions, the errata suggestions are good ones. But yeah, I think we're gonna be beating this drum most of the episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Please beat it as loud as you can. They need to hear it.
We'll keep doing it. And look, nobody here is complaining. This is all love of the game. We all want to have fun, but at some point, when things aren't fun anymore, we'll talk about
it. We're allowed to have opinions even if we still love the game.
Yes.
Right. It's okay to admit that things aren't great or perfect. They're not always going to be.
Yeah. All right. Well, Mitch, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on.
Excellent performance this weekend. Congratulations. Excellent charity to donate to. I mean, all the things. Can't wait to make it down there again. The last question I'll ask you, real briefly, are you on social media anywhere? And where can people follow you?
I don't social media. I'm not a social media
Probably
guy.
for the best.
Yeah, I made a Twitter once and it was awful, and I won't do it again. Or whatever it's called now, an X or whatever.
Yeah.
But I am on Discord. My name is the same name as my username, Gnarly Day. Anyone's welcome to add me on Discord. I'm happy to play games, talk about it, jump on tabletop, Lorcanito, play in paper, whatever you want. So I'm more than happy to.
Awesome.
Well, thanks so much.
Thank you guys.
It was so nice to meet
yeah.
you.
Hope
Yeah,
you do it again.
likewise.
Bye, Mitch.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
Take it easy. Well, I'm glad Mitch kind of brought us back to one of the topics at hand. Yeah.
Can I switch back, because I actually did get what organization Peter Raimundo donated to, and I actually think this is really cool. Sorry, y'all. I work for a nonprofit, so I'm like, let's talk about amazing organizations. Okay, so Peter Raimundo is selected to donate to the Loggerhead Marine Life Center in Juno Beach, Florida. Their primary mission is to help the sea turtle population. Apparently, Peter and his wife Dorothy have donated and visited the center many times. They are a very valuable place for rescue and rehabilitation of sea turtles. They literally do surgeries on them and go to great lengths to protect their nests on the beach. It is an amazing organization. So anyway, that is the other organization that was supported this weekend.
That's awesome.
Totally wicked.
Isn't that so cool?
Mm-hmm.
Sea turtles are awesome.
Sea turtles are pretty awesome. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Okay, now get back to talking about Lorcana. Brief commercial break for sea turtles.
Yeah. But just the charity event, very cool. It's great to play Lorcana. It's great to play Lorcana when you can support great causes.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Brandon, I mean, we kind of got your thought. I mean, what are your thoughts on Hiram and
I mean, Hiram's broken. I don't think that's probably the coldest take on the planet. I'll be honest, I don't feel experienced enough to have an opinion that anyone should listen to on what should be banned and what shouldn't be, because I hear arguments on various different things and I'm like, oh, they all make sense. I've heard people argue that popsicle should be banned. I kind of like that idea because although Hiram is the enabler and sort of the card that like gets you back into the game, popsicle just kind of allows Hiram to work in just the Sapphire shell, right? So you can just take Sapphire, throw it in any other ink color. And although right now Ruby Sapphire seems to be the thing on top, as soon as you take away popsicle, well, now you're not like, you're still doing broken things, but like imagine Ruby Sapphire without popsicle and it's all Vitalospheres or Sapphire coils or whatever. And like now all of a sudden you're having to banish these items that you kind of want to keep around. It's not ones you really want to be cycling, versus you'd still have the option to play like Hiram with Fortisphere, but then you're locked into the Sapphire Steel ink pairings, and like that's kind of where Hiram can thrive. But Hiram, of course, is an extremely broken card, and so I can absolutely see arguments for why people would want Hiram himself to be banned or eroded. I really like the idea of pushing his willpower down to 5, because then you kind of open up a whole plethora of removal that makes him like a little bit less likely to stick around, which I think is important because he's just so good against those steel decks, right? That don't have an immediate answer or require like multiple resources to get rid of him in some fashion. So definitely a card that needs to be dealt with. Has been a broken card since it was released. I think we've just like reached a climax of good Sapphire cards that can all be thrown into the same deck to finally kind of get to a point that's like, okay, this is becoming a problem. We're back in set 3 or set 4 where Bucky's, going crazy. And although I don't think, I don't want to say that there's not one culprit, because I think Bucky was very obviously the like issue with that meta. I don't know that I'd as quickly say that like Hiram specifically is the problem. I think there's plenty of other cards that add to how strong the decks can be. Sapphire Coil, obviously one of them. This weekend when I was playing against friends when the Winnabox didn't fire. I was playing Ruby Sapphire, like I mentioned, and there was one turn where I just like threw 2 Sapphire coils down, inked a card, managed to bump everything else on their side of the board that wasn't going to be hit by a Sisu, and then play a Sisu and like wipe their whole board and kept them at like 18 or 19 for the rest of the turn. And it's just like when you can do stuff like that, like the drawback of Sisu is that it's supposed to be that it only hits certain strength characters. And now when you pair it with a card that like basically opens every card in the game to be under that threshold with as easy of a task of inking a card, like that's just insanely broken.
So okay, so question about Hiram. So I feel like I have heard that there is kind of this thought that the game designers at Ravensburger kind of feel like they know what the meta is going to be prior to the meta happening. Like when they're designing the set months and months ago, when we were back playing like set 4 and they're creating this set, like they feel like they know what this set's meta is going to be. And so do we think that they knowingly, like they know that Hiram is kind of at his peak and maybe we're going to see a card in future sets kind of diminish his ability, or has it gotten to a Bucky point where the ability is just kind of spun out of control a little bit and we do have to actually errata it?
So I don't actually I think we give the game designers too much credit, and that's not to say that I don't think they're like doing a great job, but I just don't think it's possible for them to have the manpower, especially knowing sort of like roughly the amount of employees that they're working with. I don't think they have the manpower to like accurately predict what the meta is going to unfold like, 6 sets before it comes out. I just don't think it's possible. I think they definitely know when they're printing strong cards, right? Like I've heard Steve talk about this in multiple interviews and even just personally chatting with him at DLCs and stuff, where he's like, it's important that in a card game you have cards that catches people's eyes and say, oh, this card's really good. I want to play with this card.
Yeah.
Because you want it to be exciting, right? So I definitely think when they make Hiram or they make Diablo or Bucky or whatever, they say this is going to be a really good card. People are going to like this. I think the issue is just sometimes maybe there's some things that are missed that kind of have to be tweaked, which is like also totally normal and fine, by the way. Like they're all humans. They're going to make mistakes. They're never going to catch anything. I just think that I think that we know that sets are created so far in advance that it's impossible to think that they are like accurately predicting everything. They've done a pretty decent job at doing it so far, in my opinion, because I remember I think did Ursula Deceiver come out in set 3 or set 4? I think it was set 4. I don't remember, but
Deceiver? No,
it was set 3, right? Because it was so I remember when that card came out, because we were just coming out of a kind of similar format where like set 2 was like all Ruby Amethyst, and it was like, well, nobody can deal with Be Prepared, right? Like that was kind of the big thing. And then all of a sudden the next set we get this card that's like, play this card and discard a song from your opponent's hand that you get to choose. It's like, oh wow, this is like a really great answer to this problem that we have. And that's when I think people started going, I wonder if they're kind of keeping track of this. And then even when you look at cards like Hiram and Diablo, we were given cards like Brawl and Sisu, right? Like cards that are specifically targeted towards characters with lower strength. We have these really broken characters with low strength. Maybe those are supposed to be sort of the checks and balances for those cards. So I think there's thought put into that, definitely. I just don't think that it's like, I don't think they've gone, oh well, set 7 Sapphire is going to dominate everything and we're going to let people have fun with Hiram, and then in set 8 we're going to release this card to shut Hiram down completely.
Yeah. I think you hit nail on the head. One of the game designers originally, like at one point, told me, hey, look, we test like incredibly well, and we have a good idea of the meta and all that jazz. But as soon as the card comes out, like as soon as a card is revealed, like a day later, that card has been play tested like 10 times more than we ever could because of all of the all the things out there, or all the people who are going to run with it. So I don't know. But I do think even if they printed answers to it, the other problem with it, as somebody pointed out, is if you left it untouched and you just printed 1 or 2 answers, that card gets better and better every time you print a low cost item. And so it starts to limit your design space a little bit. The same way that Bucky got better and better as you released low cost Floodborns, because Bucky wasn't a problem initially. Bucky was a problem when we got the early fast.
Turn 3 Floodborn, turn 4 to Floodborn, turn 5 Floodborn. Yeah.
Well, Brennan, I could talk about that. I really want to talk more about this, but we are being rude to some of our guests who are waiting in the green room. So I feel like we should. I know I was going to do some plugs and stuff, but we'll do that later. So should we bring in our next guest?
Do it. Let's bring him in.
All right. So really excited to welcome to the show for the first time, content creator who is not only is a great, fantastic content, including an interview with Zach Bivens that he released, I think, today, and you all should go watch it. But a great commentator. So somebody we're really excited to welcome to the stream. It's JDZ.
What's up, JDZ?
Air horns. Hey, no air horns over here. No air horns out here in the Illuminators world. There he is. There we go. We got a few.
We have no sound effects on Restream.
All right, hey, you gotta work.
Excuse me, I have a wonderful sound effect. I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, I'll tell you guys right now. You guys gotta get to the Twitch. We need sound effects. We need air horns. We need confetti. We gotta have a whole thing.
You're like the 5th person that's been like on our backs about making it over to the Twitch thing.
Hey, let's lock in. Okay, it's too easy. If you need some help, you're guy. We can base boost this thing up. This is Twitch. We're in the TikTok age. I'm an old. Okay, I identify as old. You guys are.
I don't, but other people identify me as old anyway. So
when they start calling you,
open parenthesis 40. Open like greater than.
It doesn't matter what you are. It matters what you identify. You're an old. Okay, if they start calling you Unc and Pops and hey Grandpa, but we gotta understand this is the TikTok generation. So we gotta have
the TikTok generation.
Yeah.
Flippity flams and whiz bangs and all kind of jib jabs coming all over there, man. But seriously, thank you for letting me come by. It's great to be here. I love watching the show. I tune in all the time. I try to raid you guys as often as I can because I like this kind of thing, and the vibe is so nice. And you guys talking about the meta, covering these events, I think that is critical, especially right now in this Lorcana, as someone patented in the lull that we're having in the downtime with no mainstay events. These third-party organizations coming in to fill these gaps has been critical. You guys have been vital in that, so I do appreciate it as a fan. And thank you for continuing to do that. And I'll keep watching as well.
I have to take a second to like sort of send some of this back at you, JDZ, because I want you to know, like, it is definitely noticed like how hard you're out here hustling, doing the commentary thing. You're doing like an amazing job at it. And so like, obviously these third-party organizers are, doing awesome work, but also having people like you that are willing to just like do everything, man. It seems like you're everywhere. It's so awesome. And you're doing a great job.
And it's funny you mention that because it's a passion, okay? Like you guys can obviously attest to. I absolutely love this game. I'm so sad I didn't get in as soon as I possibly could have. I was busy doing some other things in other trading card games, but once I realized how special this game was, I was like, I gotta be in. Yeah. And now I see these things happening. Like you guys have a nice relationship with Southside Gaming. I see the things that 20 Lord Pro are doing. I see the thing that World Class Cards are doing. I see the things that Dreamborn Inc. are doing out there on the West Coast. You got the Mid-Atlantic region. I covered an event this weekend for them. I'm going to another event in Arkansas because I can see these things happening, but I truly feel in my heart that there just isn't enough. As crazy as that might sound, there isn't enough coverage. There isn't enough eyes on these things. And I think when people stop looking, it might be like some type of, I'm not a scientist, but there's some type of theory of when it's not observed, it's not happening kind of thing. So if you have a 95 person tournament or 85 person tournament and it's no stream and there's no coverage, did it even happen? And then people might start to lose interest in this downtime that we have. So I'm all in on it. If it costs me a day of my weekend, if it costs me a couple hours of streaming, I enjoyed the broadcast. I love the craft. That's why I'm such a huge fan of yourself and Liam. Whenever I see you guys in the booth, I take so much inspiration from you guys and your skills and how you guys are able to tell those stories and bring this game to life. I think it just adds so much more depth to the game. So I personally, I just want to emulate that and just try to bring the game just to be a part of it, because I truly feel that this game is an amazing thing, and I think it has tremendous longevity, and I just want to be a part of it. So a part of the team, whoever, part of the growth of it, of it. So that's where I'm at. But rant complete. I can rant all day. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we could all just spend the next like 10 minutes just like circular, like talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, JDZ, you're I like what you said though. Like, you know, if things aren't observed, are they really happening? And it's, you know, there's so many people, and we're going to talk about. I'm really excited to talk in a moment after we talk about your tournament to talk about another pretty good Lorcana tournament.
Okay.
Because there's so many like really passionate people doing these fun events, and sometimes they're SSG doing like a 15K charity event or a 10K at like CCS, or World Class Cards doing like a 5K. And then sometimes it's like Brandon, like the event that you went to and that didn't fire, but it's like a buy box tournament. And there's great players at all of them. There's people innovating at all of them. And the more that we can, just highlight, you know, in-person physical play, it's just better. It's better for everyone. So I don't know. So yeah, I appreciate you, JDZ.
Thank you. You know.
Before we look at your event, and we've got about 15 minutes to talk about this stuff in your event. Your thoughts on Hiram?
My thoughts originally, okay. I was in the Hiram's not the problem. It's Popsicle gang. I was there. I was full support of get rid of Popsicle and by any means necessary, because I thought that the problem was isolated with Popsicle. But I'm slowly being converted to this. It's a Hiram problem. And just looking at the meta, just looking at where it is now. And again, I love the game. I know you guys all love the game. I love broadcasting the game. I love watching the game. But as a commentator and as a spectator and as a player as well, just the game, the way the game functions, the way the game moves, I don't want to use the word boring, because I don't think that's correct. I like to say it's more like baseball. Okay, you sit there. I love going to the game. I love participating, playing the game. But sometimes just sitting back and just watching it happen, it doesn't. The lines are very similar, and the games just drag out so long. And it's just like, is this the game that we want to have? And I think the way to shake it up, if not ban Popsicle, it's definitely to do something to Hiram. Maybe remove him completely. Maybe errata him. Shout out to what Mitch was saying in some of the terms that I was listening in the green room of what his decisions were. I thought that was pretty clean as an errata. But I think maybe just getting it out, just maybe completely getting it out of the game completely, I think would open up the game so much. And maybe they start with the Popsicle, or I would love to see maybe like some type of a smaller tournament, say, hey, we're going to enact our own ban list. We're going to get rid of Hiram, just to see what it would look like as a test run, so you can have like some tangible evidence of this is what your game looks like. So you have a nice with variety, or maybe some type of thing would happen, what that counter would be. Because a lot of times we say Hiram's a problem, you get rid of Hiram, and then now what? Is everyone playing green steel again? Is that really what we really want? I don't know.
I hate green steel so much.
Yeah, so I'm saying. So like, it's one of those. I think it's one of those monkey palm situations. So I kind of like the idea of having Hiram around, but he needs to be balanced out in some way. And also, Popsicle is the facilitator of a lot of issues that we have. So I don't know how to do it, and I'm very I try to give as much shout out to the game developers as I can, because I know how difficult this could be. It's an impossible task, to be frank, to try to make a balanced game while still generating powerful cards and continue to develop the game and advance the game, because you don't want to just continue to print boring, useless cards, because no one's going to continue to play and buy the products or whatever. So you have to continue to figure out a way to make powerful effects, but also not break your game, which is basically an impossible task. And then when you get to a point like we are now, then you need to start to clear out some cards from your game. Like maybe a Popsicle, maybe a Hiram. Those are the two that I identify. Maybe even Diablo can go in there as well, and just see what happens. And a ban list could potentially be, as a former Yu-Gi-Oh player, we have the ban list system in the Yu-Gi-Oh game. Maybe we can enact something like that to just find the problematic cards, get rid of them, and then when they're less problematic, you can bring them back in. And that might be a way to go about it. For sure.
Interesting. Yeah,
I think that's.
Okay,
I think that's something that people forget about the ban list conversations. You can always take something off the ban list. People are always so scared about like never playing with a card again, but like, yeah, you can absolutely just like pull it back when it's time.
Yeah. When the meta resolves itself a little bit more, or new cards come out and those cards are less popular or less powerful, bring them back in. And if they're having still a problem, just ban them again, and it's no problem. You know. And I think
no, never mind.
Yeah.
You would have ruined it.
And it's gone.
This is why we can't have it.
Have your toy back. No.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's some people suggesting a set rotation in the chat. That's a whole other conversation because there's ups and downs to that, and I don't want to get into that solution. It's a solution, but it's a solution which requires a whole other episode. Maybe we'll do that next week. I don't know. We'll have you back, JDZ. We can go on about set rotations.
All right, I'm down. I got a whole set rotation rant queued up. So if you ever need like if you ever need 10 to 15 minutes of set rotation rant, lock me in and I got you. We can clear that, no problem.
Well, let's put it in a box and like set it right there on your desk, and we'll open that up in just a moment, or just in a week or so.
I'm sorry, JDZ. Wonder is like your one man hype man in the chat.
Listen. Wonder is my guy. I absolutely love DLC champion Wonderland. Okay. He is absolutely my inspiration. He's my spirit guide. He's my legitimate friend. We hang out all the time. I'm always by his stream. He always comes on my stream. He's a very talented player and he's super funny. And he's helped me a lot, like in this realm to be where I am. So I don't think I make it without Wonderland. And if you guys don't know, make sure you get over there and give him some support too, man, because absolutely love this Illuminaire, and he's a fantastic player, champion, worlds qualified, but still you'll never know because he's just like super humble and like very kind, and he'll help anybody to do anything. So love me some more. That's my bromance right there. Bromance overload. Sorry.
Bromance, that's okay. We will echo everything you said. And we'll shout out ILC. ICL. Sorry, I never do acronyms right. Like I have so many acronyms in my brain from JDZ from military stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I always switch them all around and ICL. But okay, so
I feel like switching around acronyms in the military could get you into some sticky situations.
You get used to it. You know.
Yeah. It definitely can, but we do our best. So yeah, I mean, we could talk about the Hiram thing all day, but my one other note, and we said this earlier, but I'll just triple down on it. The problem with leaving him alone, and like say errating him a little bit or getting rid of Popsicle is I'm very wary of cards that have powerful abilities that rely on synergies, because it very much limits the design space later on. And again, like that was the problem with Bucky was fine, but the more low cost Floodwarns that get printed, the better and better he becomes. And it's the same with Flavisham. If you ban Popsicle, as soon as you print another low cost, item that draws you a card or something, even if it's in Ruby or Sapphire or you print another Fortisphere like card in Steel, like all of a sudden Bucky or Flavisham's broken again. So getting rid of Popsicle is good.
It's temporary.
But it's temporary. Same with Bell and what Popsicle is for Bell, but. Yeah, but I don't know. It certainly is leading to a lot of unfun
situations.
But
seriously, what is you didn't give your take. What do you want to see, Liam? What do you want to see? I want to hear from you. Ban it or keep it, or just no problem at all. Just let it run its course.
I am in favor of generally bans over erratas. Partially because I think errata sometimes only is it's a sort of patch, and then as soon as you print one or two more powerful cards, the card's broken again, and then you have to address it again. I also don't like the idea of cards that don't say what they do. I really like. I dislike the experience of players coming into play like League, and they're new players, and somebody going, actually, that card doesn't do that anymore. And the player's like, what do you mean? And there's this whole conversation. I don't like that. So I would rather see it banned than errated. And I think it should happen. I don't like doing it. This is where the controversy, I think, is. I think you need to do it at an appropriate time. I don't like doing it necessarily before set championships. I know that's controversial because some people are like, make set championships more fun, but I do think, there are some of us who have plenty of, we have the means to purchase all the cards we need to make whatever deck, but there's some people who engage with Lorcana on like kind of a part-time basis, and who may have just spent, saved and spent all this money buying these Kamatoas so they can build this deck, and they've been practicing with it and getting ready for set champs. And I don't like rug pulls like that, for some of those players who don't engage with Lorcana full time like we do. So I think it should happen when
Set
the
rotation.
when the new set comes in. I think fresh meta then. And I think we just deal with it. I think we just deal with it through set champs. That would be my thought. I don't know.
I like that.
Brandon, any close on thoughts on that before we?
No, I agree. I agree with that. That's it.
Okay. We have another tournament to talk about, but real quick, JDZ, I have one question for you before we look at the winning deck because it's fun. What were your thoughts on the meta breakdown in your event, and was it similar to what we saw in SSG?
It was a bit similar, but the DMV area, they have a unique twist. That Sapphire Steel is actually more than Ruby Sapphire. So go figure. There are a lot of Sapphire Steel players there. And another interesting thing that I saw at that tournament, there were a lot of Blurple players there, Sapphire Amethyst, which was very confusing. Or not confusing, but I was like, really? They're still sticking with it? They had a lot of Blurple players in there. And another one that jumped off the page, there was only in the entire tournament, I had the breakdown, but it's like only by it's like a very, very rudimentary hand-drawn thing. There was only one Emerald Steel player in the entire tournament, just one that showed up. It was a 73 person tournament, 74 person tournament, something like that. Just one Emerald Steel. It was the same amount of Amber Ruby players, Ruby Steel players, and Emerald Steel players. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before or since. Another thing that was interesting is that the Amber Emerald, the Churna Dog deck was featured at 9 copies, or 9 players showed up with that, and the Emerald Amethyst deck, the Diablo discard deck, was also quite heavily featured in that tournament. So it was a very interesting tournament, nice spread, but at the end, like I said, there wasn't as much Ruby Sapphire as it was Sapphire Steel, and the Ruby Sapphire that was there did not have those breakout performances. As you can see by the numbers on your screen, it was only 2 players that had Ruby Sapphire in the top portion of the tournament, while Sapphire Steel was there quite heavily, and Kurt ended up taking it down. But they did do a split at the end, but Kurt ended up with first place with the Churna Dog deck. So all in all, I did think the tournament was great, man. I had so much fun being a part of that. Shout out to Tournament City Games out there in the DMV, man. It was really, really cool. They're doing some great stuff out there. Inc team out there just trying to put together like another regional circuit, maybe in that mid-Atlantic region, to kind of close it up. If you get something in the Northeast, we got something in the Midwest, we have something in the South, we got something central. It's just I'm so proud of this circuit that's coming together, and now you can get to learn these players on the regional level and where their stomping grounds are, and just build these like characters or whatever, because the game can really only go so far, but you start to build these relationships with these actual players, and you see them, oh, we're going out east, oh, here are the cast of characters going to be there, and they always show up, and they always have these great results. Same thing, like I'm sure you're noticing that at the SSG area, like the players that show up, the Southside Gaming team, the Illuminati team that's down there, that you got a lot of strong players, and that's really, really cool. Love to see that.
And Forbidden Mountain travels down there every time too, which is cool.
They travel all over the place. Yeah, they're hitting the road. I love that.
Yeah, getting the miles. One interesting thing, you mentioned the Sapphire Steel before I look at the top deck here, so we can talk about Churna Dog for a quick second. Based on all the matches that I saw, even though there was a lot of Blue Steel, most of the matches I saw Blue Steel, in fact, if not every one that I actually witnessed, was the aggro or mid-range version. It was Kiwi Verds or some variant, something close to it. It looks like here, all the decks that performed very well in Blue Steel, you did have an aggro version here, but there's 3 items decks in the top 8, which I found interesting.
Yeah, that I think that's Jack Shadows right there. Jack Shadows. I think he got a top 8. I think he said he made a critical misplay and he could have continued to go on in the tournament, but he's a very strong Sapphire Steel player. He plays like the Scrooge mid-range type version, and he had Ariel in his deck, and I think Ariel's another really strong card in this meta because it has Ward and it can quest hard. You can diamond out and win. So that might be something to think about. Just figuring out ways to attack the meta. I did an interview with Zach Bivens, and he said that's something that you should definitely try to do. And I think Ward is a keyword that is extremely underrepresented right now. But I think got the Churna Dog deck up here, and I think this deck is fantastic, and I think the player is a little bit better.
Shout out to Kurt Spice, who winner, very talented player. Somebody everybody should absolutely follow if you're into competitive Lorcana. So Good job, Kurt. I don't have his winner picture up, unfortunately, but Churna Dogs, this is a fun deck. I love this deck for a variety of reasons. It's different. It's fun. I could talk about it for a moment, but I'll let you two talk about it briefly before I wax poetical.
All right, but I'll jump in first, B Square, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
The thing that I have learned about this deck, because I do stream every day and I play a new deck every day on my own stream, and I did try this deck, and I thought it was just like a plug and play, grab and go, put the guy down, exert, get out of there, quest, and win. And that is not the case when you're playing this deck. This deck is actually very cerebral, and you have to understand when it is time to quest, when to keep your characters ready, when to set up the Rapunzel plays, how to maximize your tramp, get the most draws, and put it in. It is an absolute. It's not as easy as you would think. You have to understand your opponent's decks very well and know when to break up their Sisu shift lines. And Kurt was doing that. He was put on a masterclass the other day. Again, the player, I can't say enough about him, because we were doing post-game interviews, and after the rounds were over, I was like, hey, why did you do this one seemingly innocuous play at the end of the game? And he goes on for like a 4-minute diatribe of like every single possible line of play that could have potentially happened off of just straight memory in like 1 second. And I was just like, wow, I'm so impressed, because I'm just thinking like, well, card quest, I win type thing. He's like, no, actually, I push the anime glasses back. I do this, I did that, I had this line, had this setup. If he had this, I had this. If he had that, I'm like, he had it all figured out. And I'm like, I just don't think I'm switched on enough to make those types of assessments. But I think the deck is still super strong. It's very consistent as well. And it can play Rapunzel better. Sapphire still has a very hard time against this deck. What do you think, B Square? Sorry, I'm ranting.
No, man, you keep going on it. You're the one that covered it all weekend. No. I love this deck, even though it has given me a lot of I can't think of the word, trouble, I guess. Mainly because it's an aggro deck. I'm an aggro player at heart, and Lorcana has not always catered towards some of those players. And not only is it aggro, but I love sort of the combo between the big tramp and then like being able to play out Chernabog super cheap. Chernabog's a card that I was looking at as, the moment that it came out, and I knew that like eventually we'd start getting enough effects together to make this card work. So I just enjoy the deck for those reasons. Also, I think it's just always good to have like an aggro deck in the format in some capacity, just to keep some of those control decks in check, because there's definitely a couple times that I've played against this deck where they're just like turn 1 Daisy, turn 2 Merfolk Daisy, turn 3, and then they're just like spilling things out and the game's over in like 2 or 3 turns. And so I don't know, for that reason, I think it's cool. It's a real tug of war for me, because Amber is like easily my favorite ink in the game, and Emerald is easily my most hated ink in the game. So it's like this combination of two that work really well, and I'm conflicted to like play it at all, but excited honestly that there's just another deck out here that's not Sapphire that's like doing consistent enough to be talked about. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Briefly, Aaron's reminding me we have another guest to bring in, and so I got to keep it brief, but I also love this deck, and I love the flavor of it because it's fun, and I love decks with flavor. But the one thing I'll say about it is, aggro has had a hard time because aggro generally stalls out. There are cards that give you some reach and like hyper aggro and things like that, but generally what aggro decks are missing in the game right now is like a second act, and this deck has a second act. You're early in the game, you can get aggressive early, but you're putting cards in your discard pile that later on, like Lilo, can come out on their own, or cards that pull cards out of there, or then you finish off with a Chernabog. And so this deck has two phases, and that make it a lot of fun. And JDZ, I'll echo what you said. I saw this deck own blue steel mid-range over and over again this weekend. Absolutely. And it was a lot of fun to see. So just when we talk about how, just when I muse that decks will have a problem winning that aren't, Sapphire, Kurt goes out and crushes people with this, and that's great. Anyway, fun.
But I will echo the fact. I will say it one more time. Like, hey, Kurt is a world qualified player for a reason, so I would definitely get the reps in. And I see Ghosty out here in the chat as well. Ghosty's another dog out here getting his game on. Ghosty's got the reps. I would say if you're thinking about taking a deck like this to a set championship or to a local tournament or something, just get the reps in first before you show, because it's not as easy as you think it might be, like a normal aggro deck, I would say.
It is a difficult deck to play. I think you're right. And knowing your matchups is key, as always. But with that, I could talk about this like all day. I do want to make sure we get our final guest in here. Really excited to welcome back to the show a tournament organizer. I got to draw it out to make sure Jordan knows she's coming in. Tournament organizer from California. JDZ, you talked all about how there's different scenes all over the country and people trying to build up the game where they're at. Oddly enough, I think one of the gaps for a while was the West Coast. And there's a few people there who are trying to do some bigger events. And one of them really keeping the game alive is Jordan. So Jordan, excited to welcome you onto the show. Again.
Hey.
Thank you so much. I have, major imposter syndrome. So getting all of the positive feedback after running 2 of these tournaments now has felt surreal. I know there's a need for it, and I'm really, really happy to be a part of it. And I couldn't do it without my fellow TOs and a lot of the online support that I've gotten from Love to Lore and so many other people. So thanks for the support and the kind words, Liam.
Of course. Thanks for an amazing event. Your tournaments are pretty good.
Thank you.
Over and over again. I'll familiarize everybody. We love highlighting some of these different tournaments that are going on, especially the bigger ones, but even some of the smaller ones. So I'll just say, if you're watching right now and your shop is doing a tournament, send us the results. Send us the tournament organizer. Send us the winner. We want to talk to them. But this was the another pretty good Lorcana tournament, the sequel to the previously named Pretty Good Lorcana tournament out there in California. And great event. There's a lot of folks that you know and love from the Lorcana community there. You can see some faces that we recognize here. Enchanted Kim, Rebecca, a bunch of others. I'm gonna forget people. But great scene there. And here I think is the top 8.
Yes.
I was guessing there were 8 of them, and I was like, that looks about right. And your winners here with this really cool Mushu ink trophy.
I love that trophy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so amazing.
It's pretty cool.
I want that trophy.
Yeah, me too. Like the ink splash on the bottom. Really, yeah. And then and here's the results. So, Jordan, you've been here in the green room most of the show. You've heard us talking about the meta, what we saw. This is very similar to what we saw down in South Florida. What was the show? I don't have the full meta for the whole event, but what was the turnout like as far as colors go?
Surprisingly, the meta was a lot more diverse, but the conversion rate for Ruby Sapphire was just so much stronger than any of the other ink combos. So we had four decks in the top 8 for Ruby Sapphire, and a lot of mirrors on Saturday. So I think it ended up being a long day for quite a few of our players.
Yeah. We see that's interesting. If you're saying that Ruby Sapphire wasn't like the top share of the meta, but just the conversion was so good. I mean, on the one hand, I guess it's surprising that it wasn't a bigger share of the meta like it was in Florida. But on the other hand, I mean, the fact that it converted so well says why, it's so popular.
It was such a big portion of the meta in South Florida.
Yeah. I mean, hard to argue when it just converts this well and just beats everybody up. And I think it did here something similar that it did, in our event. And, after the top cut, it just mowed everybody over and then just mirrors all the way to the finals.
I just pulled up the full meta breakdown for Saturday. There were 32 Ruby Sapphire decks, which was 31% of the meta. We had 94 players show up on Saturday, so it was a great turnout. And I think being anything less than like 50% for us is incredible. Sapphire Steel had 30 decks. Amber Emerald had 8 decks. Amber Steel had 7. Ruby Amethyst had 7, which I was kind of surprised to see.
Yeah.
And then everything below that was just like a splash of random decks. We had 3 Emerald Steel, 2 Emerald Sapphire. So we had a little bit of everything. Amber Steel, that's Luke Dadkana's list. It's a Steel Fossa list that converted to top 8. And
Steel Fossa.
I don't remember what Pox 426 was playing. It could have been Churna Dogs, but I'm not sure.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't. We'll pull it up here in a minute when I find it. Again, I'm super prepared. Yeah, Steel Fossa. I have Shut to Dead. I got to take a look at that eventually, because that's, we're always looking for fun decks that people can bring into set champs if they don't want to give into the dark side. And if that deck did as well as it did, sounds like a fun one.
I guess Tegan said it was a set 4 Kita Under the Sea deck.
Oh, that's fascinating.
That's
Okay.
so cool.
Yeah, I see it has a tramp in there. That's the only card that I recognize from the new set.
Speaking of spicy decks, one of the Amber Steel decks I wanted to shout out was Enchanted Kim. She came on Thursday. She actually flew down from Seattle and stayed with me for the weekend. She had brought Chernadog with her, and we were testing on Thursday. And the league that we were supposed to go to got canceled because the card shop was closed. So we had an impromptu playtest night at Gold Star, and someone wanted to play a fun deck. So Kim was like, I'll play my fun Princess Amber Steel deck. And it performed a lot better than she expected it to. And I was like, I think people are going to be prepared for Chernadog. So if you want to take them by surprise and have fun with your blinged out enchanted shiny deck, run the princesses in the glass slipper. It was amazing.
And Jordan, I got to say, I was tuning into the stream they had. Shout out to Tegan and everyone else that was in the booth. I think it was Streamborn was in there.
Yes.
And that deck was on the stream, and they call her Enchanted Kim, and I was like, maybe that's a fake name. But no, this deck was gorgeous, and she got the slipper combo off, and it's all enchanted. I was like, holy, she's cooking, man. So that was really, really cool to see. And I can't get enough how cool that deck looked when it's completely maxed out like that. It was insane.
Yeah, it was beautiful. We did play testing with Rebecca and Caleb on Friday night, and she squeaked out a win on game 2 because she was able to pull the Cinderella that puts the glass slipper on the bottom of her deck for the 3 lore. Because it was a tough game between, Ruby Sapphire. That's Amber Steel's worst matchup. And like Kim and I bonded over being Steel Song girlies since, we started playing. So any win we can squeak out against Ruby Sapphire feels incredible.
Yeah. I definitely wanted to show this. Again, we love talking about the competitive scene. We're all commentators here and we like competitive events. We also like talking about fun decks though, and flavorful decks. And when you have a deck that has flavor, but can still, win some games, and can perform well at league, and that's fun to play, and that's princesses, we got to talk about it. So I'm glad you brought it up. I had it preloaded as well.
Right, Kim's deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could tell. Like,
it was ready. It was boom. Picture. It was boom. It was ready. So it's a fun deck. Yeah, probably not cheap though.
No,
I would guess not.
How much everybody's saying how shiny it was.
Well, yeah. I mean, even the that's true. Even the non-shiny version.
One of her foil Cinderella Stout-Hearted promos, but she didn't want to risk taking that on the airplane. I was like, I can't blame you for that one.
Yeah,
leave that one at home.
One of her foil Cinderella Stout-Hearted promos.
I think she only has one of the foils, but she was considering playing it.
Oh gosh, that's a flex. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, I respect considering it. Well, let's take a look. I always like to give the winner their time to shine, and certainly kudos to the winner of the tournament here. But it's a popsicle deck. Let's look at one of the other fun ones because reasons.
Y'all
Again,
have seen it.
We've seen it. We love it. Brilliant performance.
We love it?
Well, brilliant performance. I want to give a short trip to the tournament winner, but
no. Do we love the deck? That's because that was you insinuated that we love the deck.
Well, it's there. So this is the Under the Sea deck that made the top 8. Kind of a flashback to last set. Kind of fun. It's very.
You mean set 4? This thing is old school. This is old.
You're right. I mean, it's almost the Toronto winner, like Diego Saez's version, right? With a little bit of tramp.
That's it. I think that's the only card.
Tramp's the only new card. Yeah.
Are there any set 5 cards in there or set 6?
I don't know. I mean, when did
what
Bruno
about
come
Strike?
out?
I think so.
When did Strike come out? I think Strike is
4.
relatively new. I don't know.
Strike
But yeah,
Oh,
it's a classic.
Cricky. Is Cricky new?
No, 4.
No, that's 4
Where's a
too.
set 5 card?
Wait, no, go up. Go up.
Yeah, I don't
two,
no,
four,
no.
I think
yeah.
Strike.
It's
I think
just
Strike
that-
might be Strike has to be new, right? When did
Strike is
Strike come
3.
out? Strike is
Strike is
3.
3.
Okay.
yeah.
And it was in a starter deck too,
Yeah.
but didn't see a ton of play for a
So
while.
Tramp.
Yeah, so Tramp.
And I don't,
Um,
I don't think that's a right tramp. I think the ink decks might have it wrong. I think it should be the +1 tramp, because that tramp would not make any sense in this deck. if
I
I'm
was
being completely honest.
wondering that. I was like staring at this tramp. I'm like, what is it doing in
Let's
this deck?
see.
Is it just like a way to dig for cards you need, or is it supposed
No
to be the other
chance.
one?
I think
So
it's gotta be the buff. The buff one makes a lot more sense because you can like buff
Mhm.
your guys to do stuff, and you'll have a lot of guys because you'll you have your Diablos and all your Prince Johns and Muses and everything, and then
Yeah.
well, maybe I don't know.
Well-
Maybe it is. Maybe he can sing under the sea. I don't know. We'll have to check. But
the one thing, I
It
mean,
could be.
it might be. The one thing I can think of is like if this deck, it's win condition. One of the things it's trying to do, it has to find like Cricky in those key moments, or it finds Kita to allow you to quest out, or it pairs Kita with Under the Sea. And so finding Under the Sea is critical. And Tramp allows you to dig,
Okay.
kind of deep.
Yeah. Like if you're
Yeah.
playing cards like Muses and Prince John, right, both with Ward, then like you can maybe guarantee you get like relatively deep into your deck and play Tramp pretty cheaply. Because I mean,
Okay.
outside of something like a Sisu, the Prince John and Muses are probably gonna stick around.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
Sounds good. I mean, I'm gonna try it. I might load this deck tomorrow and play this on stream. This looks fun.
It looks
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
Oh no, I said Jordan got to see this played like in person. So what are what are your thoughts on the deck?
Honestly, I'm mostly there to organize for the players. I am like Brandon. I don't feel like I have enough experience to be commentating on competitive decks.
Okay.
Understood.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll try anything. I'll play whatever deck that somebody hands to me, but
Yeah.
I wonder. Do you know? But off the top of your head, do you know if that's the correct tramp that they were using, or were they using the other tramp, the smaller one, the little guy? You
I have
can't.
to
You can't
look.
recall. Okay.
No.
No problem.
Yeah. I don't know. Other than that, Jordan, any other like fun decks come to mind? I know you mentioned Kim's. Any others that we should take a look at, or I don't know, Dwarf Mine? I don't know.
Let it bounce. What is that? What's going on there? That let it bounce.
You're talking about this guy here? Is this a
No.
new geyser deck?
No. It's
Let's bounce.
Let's bounce. Okay. Yeah. I like a little bit of Sapphire Emerald myself. I'm in the B squared camp. I want to try it out and see, because I honestly feel that there is something there in these colors. These cards are too good.
I swear there is, dude.
Yeah.
I can't find it. I don't know what it is, but in these colors, these cards are too good. There's so many great cards, and somebody needs to find a way to put them together in the right order to get the most out of it. But this looks great.
You're saying in this set there's something that wasn't there before?
That's pretty good.
1 point.
That's pretty good.
That's gotta keep it real. I mean, there's a lot of fun cards in here. I would have to play this one.
Item synergy thoughts?
Yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, it's one card. Yeah, this is
I feel like this is
like-
Brandon, this is a different approach than
Yeah.
when we were
So-
playing these colors.
So I was gonna say this is definitely a different take on the deck that I played with Mo for the Hunter Burton Memorial Tournament. But it kind of just goes back to what I said earlier in the stream of like what's the most broken things you can do in the game, and there's a lot of like really broken cards in this deck. I love the Muses as much as I hate Emerald. I love the Muses card because it's just like so annoying for your opponent. You play it, they can interact with it, and then they just can't play anything for the rest of the game. Obviously, like gets much better with Sapphire Coil. We've spent half the stream talking about how Hiram's really broken. The new Tamatoa is in there as well, so you can like play all your items for free or get them back. Big Tamatoa is really good. Clarabelle I love as well, especially in this shell, because you play cards like Muses, Mother Knows Best, You're Welcome. You're putting cards back in your opponent's hand, and then you play that Clarabelle, and they've got like 10 cards in their hand, and you just get to like draw a million cards and ramp all the way back up. And then if you really get things going, that bend to my will is just like game breaking. You bounce everything back to their hand, play the bend to my will, make them discard their whole hand, and at that point, it's like almost guaranteed that you win the game.
This is my friend James's deck, and he played he's been playing green blue for several months and testing it. He played for the Pretty Shiny tournament that we had at the beginning of the set, where the prizing was an enchanted Kamatoa. And I had secured one, like I traded for one, like right as soon as the set came out. And so he borrowed my enchanted. And I think he has 3 now. So his deck is also pretty blinged out. But I played against him with this deck in Battle of the Bay, and he got to go, "You're welcome" on one of my cards. And I was like, what? I get cards in my hand for once? And then he made me discard them right away.
I think James is in the chat here.
Yeah, James is one of our Streamborn members who helped us with the stream, and he also works with Acquired Artifacts on making the trophies and the playmats, and he models all of the trophies for them. Not the playmats, sorry. The playmats are Ian, but he models the trophies, and I'm super, super grateful for Streamborn for helping us with the tournament and the trophies and everything. They're the best.
Yeah. I mean, what you all do out there, the playmats, the tournaments, the trophies, all amazing. I love the vibe so much. And I just love tuning in, seeing the pictures, everybody on, various social media platforms, sharing the event and the streams. And it's just so fun. Before we go into the final segment, because we're running long, what do you have coming up, Jordan? It seems like you're always planning another event or another community an engagement thing. So what are you all working on?
We have a kids tournament in the works in June sometime. I think that one will be in the shop. So it should be like max 32 players. And then our next pretty good should be sometime in July. So those are what we have planned. I know a lot of other people in the Bay Area are also planning tournaments right now. Josie from Tianhu is working on a tournament on Easter Sunday on 420 for a Let It Go and a foil Cinderella is the prizing. She has some pretty outrageous pricing for that tournament. And then Ben, who helped with Battle of the Bay, is planning some tournaments as well in the Bay Area, and Santa Cruz is planning some tournaments. So, I'd like to support them and travel to some of those and maybe become a player again. I feel like being in the TO mode for the last couple of months has been my priority. So we'll see. We'll see if I can make out and play in some of those and support our other TOs in the West Coast scene.
Well,
It's amazing.
I mean, being a tournament organizer is so important. I mean, this event wouldn't have happened without you and the others who pulled it together. So thanks for taking that on and giving up playing. And again, for you and for any of the other tournaments out in the Bay or anywhere, like let us know ahead of time, like Brandon and I and Aaron, we'll advertise them going into it and we'd love to cover them afterwards. So yeah, definitely want to support the scene out there in California. So, and everywhere, but like, I feel like the West Coast has been kind of, I don't know. A lot of people out there, not as many. Big Lorcana
they always say best coast, West Coast, but you guys are kind of lacking.
I know. I'm West Coast. I'm West Coast as well, and like Seattle, Portland.
Shots fired.
We got some strong players in this region, like and really, really powerful players, and we just don't have that circuit set up. We got to figure. I need to put my action behind these words and get something going myself here.
Yeah, I mean, Kim came down and she said that she was surprised by the competitive players that we have in the area, and Sacramento is really lucky to have a lot of really strong players. I'm excited to see what they do, and I want to support them and help them get more practice in for competitive events while we're waiting for DLCs and everything.
Now I'm also picturing JDZ out there, you getting a tournament circuit up or rolling down into the Bay Area with a bunch of folks. Yeah,
we're gonna hey guys, get them. That can happen.
Rolling in.
We're gonna have like West Side Story. Coast.
So before we tie things up, it's running a little late, but so I have to check with you all. Would you all like to stick around for our weekly trivia game?
I'm here. You got me.
Jordan. All right. Let's
Facing Caroline is running the gauntlet for sure.
Yep.
I'm winning. This is easy class right here. Easy dub. Free.
I love the confidence, JD.
Easy win. Oh, I like this. Man.
We like it too.
That was
Hey,
impressive. Okay.
Yeah. See, we're not on Twitch, but we do some fancy things.
That was surprisingly impressive. I was shocked. I'm a bit befuddled here. I love that.
I still remember the first day Liam made Caroline's intro, and oh wait, Caroline, you're muted.
I cried.
He was so proud of him.
Legitimately, I cried that day.
Let me tell you, it's something about a good graphic that'll just set you right, dude. That's 10 out of 10. Okay.
It's just got our own little jingle, you know.
It's one of the most special things anyone has done for me, honestly, Liam. Like,
well, what took the longest was getting the timing just right on the little ding, at the end, and the animation. But anyway,
hi, Caroline.
Hello.
In a new house.
In a new house.
With internet.
Yay.
With internet.
What is this sorcery, says Katie. No, that's amazing. Thanks for joining us. For those who don't know, and everybody here knows already, but I'm going to say it anyway. Caroline is our quizmaster here at the Illumiteers with our weekly trivia games, and starting up soon, once again, trivia in the Illumiteers Discord server. So if you're not on the Discord server and you enjoy trivia, you should rectify
Get in there.
situation.
And she is also nearing the end of what I feel like is the 4-month-long saga of getting into her new house. So we're all very happy for her.
Yes.
Let's
5 months. 5-month-long saga.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yay!
Ordering on
Everybody
6.
Everybody in the chat is very excited about the new house.
Yeah. Discord link in the chat, except for those of you on Twitch or Twitter, because I can't send things there. I'll do it another way. But a Discord server link there. Congrats on the house, though. It's been a long time.
It has been a long time, honestly. It's been a whole saga, but we are here. The house is ours, and I won't be playing musical setups anymore. So I have my nice fancy mic back, and yeah, it's a good time. This room will just get prettier. That's the only changes you'll see now.
We'll look forward to it every week.
That's what we need to do, Brandon. Like every week, Caroline has to put something new up, and we have to
Well, this is my husband's office.
Last week to next week.
Yeah, that's trivia question number 1.
What's new in the background? I like that.
It's like the old Highlights magazine.
Spot the difference.
Yeah. Highlights is a magazine for those who are old.
You're dating yourself on that one. You are dating yourself.
What's a magazine?
In a pediatrician's office in the 90s, you know what Highlights is.
That takes me back. You just look at the front, it's all normal. Look at the back, it's all wacky. I remember Highlights.
And everybody's always filled out the puzzles. I think they came pre-filled.
I'm surprised we don't see the comments with one of our friends saying that she wasn't even born yet. So
we have a couple of youngins in the chat.
Yeah. Where's Riley chiming in?
Right.
Anyway, so Caroline, what do you have for us this week?
All right. Well, this week I picked out a couple of different cards from some of the decks that you guys featured at the various tournaments we covered this evening. So let's just dive right into it. Maui Shark is a major part of a lot of these Ruby Sapphire decks that are getting oppressive. Maui transforms into a lot of things in Moana. Name 3 other things that he transforms into.
One of them's like a hawk, right?
A hawk, yeah.
Hey, is this free? Can we just jump in? We have to all
go for it. Yeah.
He does change into Sven at one point.
He does change into Sven, you're right.
And he's a whale as well, right? No.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, Maui whale, I think. No, that's Cusco whale. You're confused.
That's cool. Oh, wait. Sorry.
So there is a Maui whale card.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know that Maui actually transforms into a whale in the film.
All right. Yeah, it was.
Is Maui whale a floodborn? Now I need to look.
It was like a
transforms into a human demigod.
It was like a lizard too, right? And there, it was like a lizard.
Yes. He does transform into a lizard at one point.
I was like, it's something small.
And Brandon was right. He transforms into a demigod.
Hey, that's breaking the rules. That's breaking the rules.
What?
Hey, I have to get every advantage that I can with Caroline.
Yeah, that's true.
That is his neutral form.
Transforms into it. I'm just saying.
Steven, really?
What's some other ones?
Did he transform into a fork?
It was a bird. If we
were on the Lore Keepers Inn, Katie would have said we already lost.
Yeah.
So
Katie plays hard rules.
You guys got your 3. You're good.
Nice. Good job, team. Let's go, team. Let's go, team.
Starting off strong.
All right.
All right.
Easy. First
Hiram is
try.
also the hot button card of the
cooked.
day. He's voiced by Alan Young, who's actually not a Scottish actor. What other famous Scottish Disney character did he voice?
Bro,
I'm gonna go with Scrooge McDuck.
let's go.
Yes.
Let's go.
That was my guess too. I had
Let's
no
go.
idea.
I like
Mac Money Sack.
Mac
Now
Money
you said-
Sack. I was waiting for that.
well, and then your question is gonna be like, name another Scottish character that's not in Brave.
Oh, that's not
Is it-
Brave. Then I would have been.
The dog. It wasn't the dog on
Oh yeah, good
the
pull.
dog on was it
Oh,
Jacques.
101 Dalmatians?
Jacques. Yes, thank you.
And
Or
Lady
no,
and the Tramp.
that's
Lady and the
Lady
Tramp. Lady and the
Yeah.
Tramp.
Yes.
There it is.
Yeah,
is.
Jacques. Dadkana, like right there. Here we go.
Little.
We're cooking. We're cooking.
We're cooking. Yeah, first try.
No, yeah, first you did get it first try. Aaron got it. It's Scrooge.
First try.
Definitely the only Scottish Disney character I think of. Glad
Let's
it
go.
worked. Fantastic.
Clear, but you did it with confidence. You're like, yeah,
You
that's
did.
Scrooge.
Clearly.
I
yeah,
know that
obviously.
Speaking
Jim
of Lady
Young.
and the Tramp,
Uh-oh.
Tramp in development had several different names, including one that became the name of a very famous animated character later on in history.
Oh.
If you
Hold
can
up.
name any of them, I'll give you them.
All
But
right.
I just need one,
gosh.
and that's the hint that you get.
Is another famous animated
It's
character.
another famous animated character, not a Disney character.
Not a
Oh,
Disney
Okay,
character.
good to know.
What?
Good to know.
John Bluth.
Bluey. No.
Oh.
Bingo.
Another
Bingo.
famous-
Chili.
Yeah.
This is tough. Was
Lucky.
it
Rusty.
Blues
Coco.
Clues.
Bandit.
Blues
Bandit.
Clues.
SpongeBob?
We're in the
assuming
right
it's a-
era of animation now.
I'm
I'm
assuming.
Okay.
so
Wait,
lost.
was SpongeBob were in the right
Snoopy?
era of animation?
Rocco.
Yes, with SpongeBob, we're in the right general era of
Okay, okay,
animation.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Okay.
Jordan, you were going to say
Timmy.
something. You kind of got.
Arnold. Hey, Arnold. I don't know.
I think a little more adult.
Okay.
though.
Okay.
Ren, Stimpy.
Roger.
There you go. Roger?
No,
No.
Oh, I was thinking Roger Rabbit.
Adult animation SpongeBob.
Roger Rabbit is Disney.
Oh yeah, crap. I went with adult
not Disney.
animation.
Rebecca says Scooby.
Nope, not
Scooby's
Scooby.
too old. It's got to be something a little bit
Yeah.
newer.
Either.
Is it a dog?
It's not a dog.
Oh, we're
Okay.
cooked. Yeah. We
Yeah.
got it.
Animal.
It's
Perry the Platypus.
It's not an animal either.
No,
actually.
It's not an animal. Where?
Wow.
Wait, we got to. Let's take it back to the beginning. Let's see what information we have.
Okay.
It's not an animal. It's
It's not-
something.
It's not an animal.
Not an animal.
It is not
SpongeBob
a
era.
Disney character, and it is from like the early to mid '90s.
And it
is
could
when
all-
the show started.
All right, so it could
And
have
Show.
adult
been-
animation.
Adult
It could have been
animation.
something
Animation
named.
is what's
South
throwing me.
That Tramp also could have been named.
Goku.
All right. Is it? I'm all Disneyed out, man. I'm like so
Yeah, this
Disney
is out of
right
my
now.
forte.
Yeah.
Homer.
Homer is crazy.
Dad Kana with the lifeline.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
Was it Homer
job.
Smart? No way.
Yeah, Homer
Wow.
was one
Dad
of the
Kana's
names they
so good.
considered for
Dad
Tramp.
Kana with the dad.
Oh,
Like-
let's go, Dad Kana.
Yeah.
Oh,
Saved y'all on that one. Good job.
Homer.
Some of the other options that they considered were Rags and Bozo. Also a Simpsons reference in there.
That's crazy. I never would have
Yeah.
guessed.
Some-
I
he was
literally never would have
Tramp.
guessed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he
don't
definitely.
Homer just doesn't have the same ring to it.
Mm-mm.
Lady and
Yeah.
the Homer.
Lady and Jags. No,
Lady
Lady
and
and
Homer.
Bozo.
Lady and
Maybe-
Bozo.
Lady and
Maybe-
Bozo. Maybe there's something there.
Maybe he could still be the Tramp, but just the Tramp named Homer. And Tramp's just
Has
not
a
his name.
different name. Yeah. Maybe.
Artist formerly known as Tramp. There you go.
Lady,
It's
lady, and,
formerly known as
lady and
Tramp.
her homie.
There you go.
Lady in rags.
There's it's all so bad.
All right. Next question. Glass slipper. Which foot is it?
Oh God.
Hold on.
In the 1950 animated Cinderella, which foot is it? Because it does change. And you
Oh.
only
We get one shot at
It's a 50-50, so we only get one shot.
Wait, let's all put our heads together on this one. Because
my brain, I would never know
he's
this.
sitting down. He's got his right hand down. She's in the chair. I remember her running down the stairs and it falls off. It's gotta be on the. It's gotta be. It's gotta be
my brain immediately went left.
I'm with you.
My subconscious went left. I don't know.
You know what,
I'm
Liam?
thinking left.
Always the one on the left.
I think from an animation perspective, I'm thinking if you're laying this out, I think if I were an animator,
You would pick
and
one of two
I'm
things.
staring at like the profile of Cinderella, I think it looks better to have the right leg down, the left leg up, because I think you get a better. I think the insole is.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Don't listen to him.
Liam knows a lot about feet and how. I'm gonna stop there.
Just ignore him. Just ignore him. He's fine.
I love it.
He's going to a place that we don't need to go
See,
into.
I think
the gravitational pull and the lighting and the shadow let us indicate.
I think the left
shading
looks better.
I'm thinking just all right. Let's all unlock our brains. When she's running down the stairs and the shoe falls off, what side? I think it's got to be on the left.
This out because I feel like
It's
I think
left.
we-
It's
I think we've
100%
all said
left. We're
I
all
don't think
left.
anybody said right.
we're going left, Caroline.
That is correct. It is left.
Yeah!
Who would have thought?
I knew it.
Let's go.
I'm so proud.
I knew it the
Look
whole
at you
time.
guys.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We figured it
Yeah.
out. The insole got it. The insole's what did it. I
Yeah.
think.
Liam sold me.
Stop it! Just stop it.
The insole did it. I think that was clean.
All right.
Yeah.
The last one I have for you. Cusco was a spicy pick in Mitch's deck this weekend. Llamas appear several times as foreshadowing devices in the beginning of Emperor's New Groove. What is the first llama we
Yeah.
see on screen in Emperor's New Groove?
I think I know.
Fire. If you gotta rip it, if you feel it, you gotta rip it.
It's Cusco, isn't it? Because he's in breaking the fourth wall, and he's like, this is me. But how did I
I'm
get
so
there?
proud of you.
Yeah,
I'm so proud of you.
He's like,
Let's
yeah.
go.
He's like,
Oh, that felt like
That
a
was-
trick question.
It was a little bit of a trick
Wow,
question. I'm so proud of you,
sneaky.
Liam.
I was
Like,
like, it's
pretty-
one of Pacha's.
Yo,
No,
you really
it's
sealed the deal on that
Cusco.
one.
I had to
Very
go
nice.
back because initially I thought Pacha is like pulling the cart. That's what it was gonna be answer.
That was my thought.
that was
It
my
like
thought.
Pasha. Yeah.
Let's
But he's like pretty, look at this guy. Pretty pathetic, huh? Like, and then yeah.
Well
Okay.
done. I'm so
Very
proud.
nice.
A
Very
little,
nice.
a little G Wizard. Liam's nickname in high school was Llama.
That
There
is
you go,
true.
everybody. You're
I love it.
welcome.
Everybody.
Age's gonna leave us with that. No backstory or nothing, huh? We just gotta go home with that. I appreciate it.
Just
Yeah.
let
Thank
your
you.
mind go wild.
It sounds like Liam is what, and
Yeah.
kids are kids.
And
So-
Liam wasn't like a thing when he was growing up. Like Liam, nobody
I
was
was gonna say it's a
named.
very popular name for kids
Yeah.
now, but
Yeah.
not.
People used to
when we
pronounce
were
his name
kids.
Liam.
Yeah, it's
He was ahead of his time.
Yeah,
that's
in-
true.
In
I
the
said
90s, Liam wasn't a thing.
all the Liams are named after me.
There you go.
And Liam Neeson.
There you go.
Makes sense.
We share credit equally for the popularity of the name Liam. And yeah, so when Emperor's New Groove comes out, it was a whole thing. It's a whole thing. I heard llama face a lot. All right. Well, that was fun. Caroline, who gets the pin?
I don't know. I think it's a JDZ pin this evening.
Let's go. I'll take it. I'll send it over
Jordan,
to Liam.
Jordan, that just means you have to come back.
Yeah,
I'll be
Jordan.
back. Yeah, next time.
I'll send it to Jordan.
No, GTZ had the confidence going into it. He knew.
I just knew we were going to get the dub. I mean, the team was strong. We had a lot of gaps covered. I mean, there's really nothing Caroline could have done there. I think we had a lot of range there. So I think we
That's
were
true.
taking her down this one.
I like this trash talk after the fact. because I
After
didn't
the
want
fact,
a little bit
uh-huh.
scared to
Right.
do that beforehand.
Yeah, we knew. We knew the whole time.
we had a lot of our angles covered. I mean, she had to dig deep into the bag, and we came out on top this time. Maybe next time, Caroline, you got to come harder. I'm kidding. I'm joking.
I was gonna say, JDC, be careful what you ask for.
Can't you haven't seen? She can do that.
She's like, what is
That
the
Homer
ISBN
question?
number for?
Yeah, what is the ISBN number for the Little Mermaid VHS tape? That Aaron, you're gonna have to take the episode next time JDZ comes back because I'm
All
gonna
right.
like, whoop.
I'm gonna just sit there in silence and be like, JDZ, you did this. You did this
to yourself.
You're on your own.
Okay. I'll start training. I'll get into the dojo. I'll be ready.
It's
Okay.
in the montage. Well, thanks. Well, I say this to everybody who competes. Jordan, anytime you want to, like any week you want to be like, hey, I just want to come back and compete in trivia, send us a note. We'll bring you in, even if it's just for trivia. So yeah, everybody.
I'm going to be on JDZ's stream testing him, so we'll both be prepared.
Let's go. Come on, anytime. I was working on the game show. I was going to do it, but Katie is doing it much better. So maybe you can get you on Katie's game show, and then you'll come on my game show. We're going to have all these game shows, and it's going to be really fun. So I'd love to have you come by.
There's been talk of some kind of trivia gauntlet in the works with us too, so we'll have to.
It's gonna happen. I'm looking forward to it. It's just fun. Everyone loves trivia, so come on.
Hey, I 10 out of 10 recommend having your Lorcana friends over. Kim came on Thursday. Friday morning, we woke up and watched Katie's episode of you guys on the game show, and it was just a chill morning. So let's make them happen.
Absolutely, I'm down.
Game shows.
I'm down.
Yeah. Game shows, and you can practice your trivia knowledge as well in the Illuminateers Discord server, where Caroline runs trivia.
Starting again next week.
And there's even badly drawn Lorcana. It's fun stuff.
We'll see if I can do badly drawn Lorcana. Fergus was very good at that. I don't know that I will be up to
maybe
snuff.
we can do that.
We'll put our child to work.
Yes. Olena drawn Lorcana.
That's right.
This card.
Draw this.
Scribble.
Yeah, it's a lot. What is that? That is
maybe she should draw over a card, and then you have to figure out what card it was.
Like traced.
That might be a good one.
Yeah. I need.
She's like, I'm going to errata Hiram.
She scribbled it out. It's clearly a popsicle. Or anyway, all right. We need to wrap up here. Before we do that, I want to make sure we give our guests a chance to say where people can follow them, and then Brandon will wrap up. Jordan, how can people follow you and what you all are doing out on the West Coast there?
We're working on creating some content for social media. We don't have an account yet, but Kim and Fran were all over me for that this weekend. So that'll be here shortly. But for now, it'll be Discord. I can post that in your Discord for people to join.
Yeah.
And I did want to shout out Streamborn on Twitch. If you guys can follow them, they cast every Wednesday and they do their local league and some tournaments and commentate over that. We wouldn't have been able to do this without them. So follow them on Twitch.
Well, we'll get both. If you send those links, we'll get them both in the show notes so people can find them after the show. And we're looking forward to your pretty good social media account.
Thanks.
JDZ, I think people know how they can follow you, but how can people follow you?
Please. First, I gotta say thank you for letting me come by. I had so much fun being here and joining the Illuminateers. I've been watching the show for a long time, and being here seems like really, really neat. So I really appreciate that. But if you guys want to find me, I'm JDZ Quest everywhere. I'm on Twitch. I stream on Twitch almost every day, Monday through Friday. Sometimes on the weekends, I try to cover as many tournaments as I can in the commentary space. So if you have tournaments you want me to try to cover them, link up and I'll probably do that for you. Also, I am on YouTube as well. I try to do a lot of interviews and a lot of informational stuff, covering stuff about Digital Lorcana. I got some other crazy ideas I want to do on YouTube. So tune into that, follow the journey, follow the ride, and just come out here and rock with it, man, because I'm all in on Lorcana. I love the game so much, and I just want to share that love and passion with anyone who's willing to join me on that cruise. So JDZ Quest everywhere, Twitch, YouTube, and X. Okay, check me out.
Yeah. I still can't call it that. But no, and yeah, definitely follow JDZ and putting some links here in the. I've got the Streamlabs in the chat.
That you misspelled his name.
JDX.
Oh yeah,
JDX. I was so you said X and my brain just.
My bad. No, that's okay. That's
okay.
fine.
Wonder's been spelling his name all stream. It's fine.
Yeah.
Wonder's my guy to do it. I love Wonder, dude. Make sure you guys are watching the ICL as well and checking out Wonder too.
Let's do that. Let's plug the ICL real quick. Look at that ICL coming up starting next week. They're back with round 3, and of course, we'd love if you hang out with us on Monday nights. But if you're not hanging out with us, the second best place to be, I think, is over the ICL, checking out some amazing Lorcana over there. So maybe you can do both.
Sometimes they join us
Absolutely.
afterward.
Sometimes they
Yeah,
join us
we'll come.
afterwards.
Usually on the ICL on Monday, it'll be followed by the Illuminatiers, and it's always cool. So, and the ICL is another great spot where people can be featured and learn about Lorcana and get out there and see some high quality gameplay and some great commentary. The production is going through the roof over there. Again, huge shout out to Luke. He's doing all that behind the scenes stuff to make it a really special thing. So, and a lot of great broadcasters are coming in there. I know Liam, you got some reps in there. B Square when you get you into the ICL from time to time, and just more broadcasters coming in and people trying to practice their craft. And the next great broadcasters are going to be coming from the ICL. So tune into it every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday starting next week. We're going to be back at it again. It's a great time.
Yeah, couldn't send anybody myself. I'm trying to get there's a couple teams over there that I really like, one in particular, and I'm going to try to get in there if I can for a round. So yeah, and yeah, we're going to get Aaron in here too. Hopefully, do some player interviews.
Let's go.
Great.
I would love
Let's
that.
go.
Yeah,
Really? That'd be awesome.
Yeah, Aaron is one of the best interviewers in the game.
I bet. I know. I've
think
seen the
you're
skills.
incredibly biased
It's
in
true.
that statement.
I've seen.
He's
seen
not
your-
wrong.
I was gonna say he might be biased, but he's still not wrong.
See, I can be biased and right. But yeah, solid plug for the ICL. Brandon, what do we miss? I mean, we kind of crushed the whole discussion about Hiram.
Yeah. Sapphire's really good.
Yeah.
Maybe we didn't understand enough that it needs fixing.
Thank you and good night, folks.
I don't know. Do we miss anything?
You should. I don't know if you were planning to do that one. We usually sign up all the guests. I'm going to do it for you. Sign up to the Patreon. If you haven't, the Illuminatiers have a Patreon that you can sign up to. I don't think there's any like paywalled content, so you won't be like missing any content behind there, but it does cost money to run this show and make sure that everybody's up to date and all the equipment and all of those things. So if you feel like giving and signing up to the Patreon, that should be in the description. Wherever you're watching, you should be able to sign up to that. I know that Liam and Aaron are both very grateful for that. And yeah, you should do that. Shout out to all the patrons that already have signed up as well.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thanks for that. I'm really bad at that. You're right. We don't paywall any Lorcana content. We do have some fun stuff like behind the scenes and things like that, and voting on content that will be, behind the paywall, but nothing Lorcana related. But what I will say, I'm trying to do a new thing. I'm trying to provide a weekly update to the free subscribers even. So after the show, I sit down in bed and I type out like a recap of some of the stuff we talked about with some graphics and everything else. So you can follow our Patreon for free and get those updates. I'll post a link here. And then if you're so inclined to support the show, we appreciate it.
Yeah, and we have
wholeheartedly.
a few Patreon supporters in the chat.
I'm doing my part, says Mandy. Thank you.
Mandy,
We love
Shout out
it.
to Mandy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to say, I'm so bummed. This is completely personal and a total side note. So our across the street neighbors, their child is like our daughter's probably best friend. They're like a couple months apart. And they're moving, and I'm very, very sad about this. But they're moving to the same town that Mandy and Mo live in.
Oh,
And their
So now they
child
could be
is,
best
like,
friends with Faye.
1 month old, is less than 1 month older or younger than Faye, their daughter.
wow.
And so, like, I texted Mandy this weekend. I'm like, I'm incredibly jealous. You are about to get the best neighbors of all time. But yeah, anyway. Hopefully that means we get to see our neighbors more, because then we'll just have to go visit. We'll have to go visit Mandy and Mo. That'll be
Oh
awesome.
no,
I know. Dang.
such trouble.
Hanging
That's
out with some
trouble.
of our favorite people.
Hanging out with
Yeah.
Lorcana friends. What a hard time for
Right
you.
here in River City. Well, anyway, thank you all so much. I think we're going to be here. Blah 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 blah. We're here every Monday night. Thank you for joining us. It was a lot of fun. I will be here next Monday at 8:00. We're getting into set champ season, so Brandon, Aaron, and I are going to talk about the show a bit next week. But perhaps we'll go over some set champ decks that you should all take a look at playing that might not be Ruby Sapphire. Yeah, so we'll see you all back. Until then, have a great Lorcana week, and it's one more week without a
Sign
playoff
off
song.
music.
So